get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Smith Radio. Your host, Brian Smith and
Carrie Smith.
And let's check those sound levels. I don't feel like I'm levels now. No, we had a little bit of technical difficulty, so if you're listening to us live on Sunday evening, 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern, this is Brian Smith and Carrie Smith, Military Veteran Talk Radio. We are a little bit late today, fashionably late, if you will. Left Coast late.
It's because he lived in L.A. too long. That's simple as that.
Left Coast late. And we're wrapping up the news of the week. This was an explosive week. I feel like I say that every Sunday.
I don't know what's going on here, but seems like there's this desperate need to make sure that politics dominates the news cycle every single day. And we do a weekly show. So it's like we have 7 days of stuff just jammed in there. And it's always like the sky is falling, the building's on fire, all of the above. And so we have to try to jam it all together for the week. Exactly.
So what we do is a weekly show, and we wrap up everything that happened last week. We chew on the meat and spit out the bones, so you guys don't have to worry about that. We explain it all, and we make sense of it all.
We do all of your thinking for you.
And we expose the left-leaning news, the fake news, the communist propaganda that is this week. This week is a huge propagandist week, and as well as
it's a battle of the narratives.
It's some incredible information that's come out this week. And folks, follow us on Twitter at Brian P. Smith. You see right there on the screen, right underneath me. That's me. And right underneath Carrie, right there you go. Oh. And Carrie is Smith, SMYTH Radio on Twitter. And throughout the week, we'll tweet, we'll scope, we'll give you all the information when news breaks. As a matter of fact, when things are really breaking, like when Donald Trump gave his first State of the Union address, we actually sat in with it, and we went live, and we hung out with you and talked about it the entire time, which is a lot of fun. This week, there's a lot of things that are going on that that you may have already heard about. There's a lot of deep state information. We've got the Grassley memo that came up this week. Donald Trump gave his prayer breakfast speech, which was incredible. If you never thought Donald Trump was a Christian, you know he is. I mean, you just know he is. Is it Reverend Graham? Reverend Graham came to the rescue, but was on Fox and Friends and said, if you don't think Donald Trump is representative of Christian, maybe I'm not either.
Well, he doesn't, there's certain behaviors, certain things that you say, maybe speech pattern or whatever, where as soon as you start listening to somebody, you're like, oh, this guy is a Christian, because it's kind of wearing it on his sleeve, or it's just the way he talks. Donald Trump is not that person. He's one of them people that you have to start asking him questions that require an answer that may be different for a Christian than a non-Christian, when you start to realize, oh, this guy is totally Christian. And that was a big question early on in his candidacy was, are we having a guy that's like, is he atheist? Is he Christian? Is he agnostic? What is this guy? I really didn't know. I really didn't.
Well, and then hardcore Cruise fans that were Christians, that were all about Christianity, this, and this, and they knew the Bible inside and out, could repeat the verses left and right. When Donald Trump would quote a verse, the words weren't correctly pronounced, and
he didn't use the right inflection in the voice,
right,
or something like that.
And so maybe it was, John 3:16, for God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son. Whoever believes in him shall have eternal life and not perish.
Believe me.
Believe me. When I say that, I know that that's not exact, but you get the gist.
Right. Well, and I think he's one of the most Christian presidents we've ever had when you consider his stance, his outward stance, and how vocal he is on abortion.
Absolutely. And we've got new text messages out this week from Peter Strzok and Lisa Page. We also have, it is proven, folks, RNC, DNC, collusion, attempting to get with Christopher Steele.
Oh, boy.
We know it's there. We know it's there. Some more text messages coming out. Got some great video clips on that. News that you didn't hear this week.
I got one for you real quick that you don't have in your stack because this happened while you were prepping and I was walking out the door. Paul Nehlen has been suspended from Twitter.
Okay, you want to start with that? Because that went down last night.
Oh, did he get suspended last night?
No, I don't know when.
I just heard it right as I was walking out the door.
Carrie and I
were
hanging out last night, like we normally do on Saturday night. And Paul Nehlen, who we've had on the show, is in Wisconsin and ran against Paul Ryan for Paul Ryan's seat. He's a business owner, local business owner in Wisconsin, and he's sound ideas, conservative, make America great again kind of thing. And last night he tweeted out something that was quite cryptic, if you will. On the surface of it all, it was very unnerving.
Oh, as soon as I saw it, I was like, what is that?
Why would you do that, man?
It was so bad that I actually said, okay, was he hacked?
Yeah. Oh, I looked at Carrie and I said, that's got to be a hack job. Absolutely. Yeah. So do you have the tweet? I have the
follow-up. Okay, so the tweet he originally tweeted out was a picture of Prince Harry in a picture where he was standing next to his new wife.
Correct.
Is it fiancée or wife?
Wife.
And she is of mixed race, I guess.
We were told by a fellow friend of ours who happens to be mixed race. She said that she was of mixed race. So I'm taking her word for it.
Oh, yeah. So, no big deal. They made a big deal about it in England, obviously. There's a lot of...
It was all over the news. Like
virtue signaling and stuff like that. I'm going to be honest. The woman's absolutely drop-dead gorgeous.
She's knockout.
I would not ever, myself, say that Harry was virtue signaling. I mean...
She's gorgeous.
She's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I think any guy who's not a full-blown racist...
And a Democrat
would be happy with the
choice, the choice.
So right. So that being said, hold
on. The media made it a racial thing.
Of course.
Finally, the white elites.
Well, they couldn't just say that Harry was colorblind.
No.
So it turns out that on the same week, or maybe it was the week prior, there was a new thing that came out where DNA evidence proves that the first humans to arrive in Great Britain thousands of years ago had very dark pigmented skin, darker than expected, because we think of Anglo-Saxons as white people.
CNN ran a story with a picture of a white family, like 2018.
Yeah.
DNA shows them that they may not be white.
This is the problem. The problem with liberals and progressives is they don't understand. They do not, or maybe they do understand, and they're purposely doing this, but they don't distinguish between your pigment of your skin based on your DNA as opposed to a cultural background. Like, if you're African American, if you're a black person in America, there's a good chance that you're a part of a certain culture that you may not be a part of if you're not
and
black
if you're
in America.
Charlize Theron, from
she's
South Africa.
She's African.
Yeah, correct.
So
gorgeous black woman.
So they don't distinguish that, and they should, because there is a difference, and it's all about skin color with the progressives. So anyway, the news is that they did this DNA test on the skull. Really, really old remains are really difficult to get DNA from because the cell has to be like intact to get the DNA.
Right. And
somehow they found a skull that actually was somehow preserved the DNA well enough that they could study it, and they found out that there's markers in the DNA that show that this person would have had pretty dark skin. Now, if you believe in maybe not evolution, but the variations, natural selection,
right?
You probably already know that or maybe not know, but believe, depending on what your belief is, that humans started in Africa and then migrated out. over thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of years.
What about the Garden of Eden?
There's that actually is at odds with the Garden of Eden story. But if you believe that it all comes from Africa, maybe Garden of Eden was in Africa. Wherever.
Adam and Eve.
Okay, so Adam and Eve were in Africa.
Not Adam and Steve.
Now, if you know anything about natural selection, it's a benefit for humans to have dark skin in a really, really hot, sunny environment.
Correct.
And it seems to benefit human beings to have lighter skin in these very northern, colder climates. That's why it was natural selection that ended up having people up north with lighter skin and people that were remaining in Africa with darker skin. So it makes sense that an early settler up north would have darker skin, and then over time their descendants would slowly but surely get lighter and lighter skin. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years later, they end up being as white as Brian and I. So
what?
So all that makes sense. That all makes sense to me, but they had to make it a big racial thing because they're a bunch of morons. Now, that was way, way longer-winded than I want to get into. That was the story. Paul Nehlen found a picture, or possibly made the picture himself.
Or might have been like a replication, like an artist version of what the early settler may have looked like.
That picture was already available.
Oh, so that wasn't the picture Paul Nehlen put up.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Brian. I totally jumped the gun here.
Okay.
As soon as they figured out that this person from thousands of years ago in Britain or England or the Isles was dark skinned, somebody made a clay picture or a composite, a sculpture,
right,
of what this person may have looked like. And they unveiled him, and he had very dark skin and this scraggly hair and whatever, looked like a Neanderthal or whatever. And so that picture is available on the internet.
Okay.
Somebody took a picture of that rendition of, I don't even know what they're calling this person, and pasted it over the top of Harry's wife. And Paul Nehlen tweeted that picture, and I'm looking at this one article, and it doesn't show. It shows his follow-up tweet. It doesn't show what he said on the original tweet. Let me see if I can find that real quick.
I still can't believe you didn't screenshot that last night.
Well, I didn't think that I wouldn't be able to get it today.
No, I honestly believed that it wasn't going to be around.
Yeah,
like I was really upset about what he said. We even showed it to our friend who, like I said, she's biracial. She's got a white mom and a black dad.
White,
totally
right.
cool.
Yep.
And she said, yeah, that's not cool. Totally not
cool. We were all like, what is
We all agreed with her, absolutely.
So I can't find the tweet with the picture, but I will read to you what was an attempt at a follow-up. Man, I can't believe these articles that are about him being suspended don't have his original tweet. They just have the follow-up, which is really weird. Why wouldn't they show the original tweet? Did nobody shot the original tweet? That's kind of unbelievable, but okay. All right, I'll read you the follow-up. So the follow-up tweet he followed it up himself. He responded, I think he realized, I may have stepped in it. The fact that he didn't realize he stepped in it until after he tweeted it is the problem with Paul Nehlen. I'm sorry. If you're listening to me right now and you're a big Paul Nehlen fan, and I don't blame you for a lot of the things that he is pushing for, being a candidate, but for him to not know that this is going to be stepping in it before he sent it is the problem, and that's the problem. So his response to the original tweet that he tweeted out was, publishing an article disappearing whites or dispossessing whites of their homelands is wrong. Made worse when claiming, quote, science to, quote, prove whites never existed. I made a joke of it. It's not a laughing matter, so I chose to laugh about it. I don't really. And then he has a link to the mirror.co.uk article of Trump supporting politicians sparks outrage, whatever. So
here's the problem. I'm on Wikipedia right now, and I'm on Paul Nehlen's Wikipedia page. Paul Nehlen, and it says 2018, his account was suspended by Twitter. This occurred after he mocked an interracial couple on the website. It says white nationalist campaigning, alt-right, white nationalist, anti-Semitic. Oh,
he's had some tweets in the past that I would categorize as anti-Semitic. I'll say. I mean, I'm not
political career endorsements from Breitbart News, Laura Ingraham, Sarah Palin. Oh man! And Wikipedia's just blasting on these folks.
And we've had Paul on the show before, and one thing I've learned about him talking to him is he is an engineer. Brian's dad's an engineer.
Yeah.
My dad's an engineer. Yeah. I went to college for engineering. I worked as an engineering co-op at General Electric Aircraft Engines. I know how these people are. I'm a lot like it, but I'm not. Somehow I've been able to overcome it. But these people are not good. They don't have good people skills. It's like that scene from Office Space where the guy was asked, "What is it you do here?" And he said, "I communicate to the customers what the engineers are trying to say." Do you want to put that picture up?
I've got a picture.
That's the clay rendition of
claymation.
I don't know if they're calling him Cheddar Man. Why do they call him Cheddar Man? Do you know why they call him Cheddar Man?
No, that I do not know.
Okay, I'm going to look up why they call him Cheddar Man real quick. But anyway, so it's Cheddar Man. Somebody pasted Cheddar Man's face over Harry's wife, who's biracial, and there's certain things that I don't know how he doesn't know that you got to sidestep that landmine.
So if you're on Periscope watching this live, I've just now posted that it's called Cheddar Man?
Apparently.
Okay, so I posted that up, and you can clearly see that if you put that picture over the woman that Prince married,
Prince Harry.
So not cool. And then he was explaining that science is attempting to take back a white land from.
You're not going to believe this. I really think that not a single person.
I can't find it.
Nobody screenshot it. Not a single soul, and I know this for a fact. If it's not in any article, nobody screenshot it. The original post where Paul Nehlen put up the composite. It was a Photoshop where they put Cheddar Man over the face of Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle is apparently the wife. So according to DailyMail.com, Republican businessman is branded a sick creep after posting a picture of Cheddar Man superimposed onto Meghan Markle's face. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, whatever. I don't think I'd call him a sick creep. I would just say that just really unforced error. But anyway, all right. So that's what happened. If you're wondering why Paul Nehlen is suspended by Twitter. So anyway. Somebody said Paul Nehlen might be a plant. He's not. I met him 2 times. I met him at the Deplore Ball, and I met him at the CPAC. And we've had him on the show. He's also been interviewed like 3 times on Your Voice America a long time ago. Since then, he's banned from that platform for other reasons. It has nothing to do with any of the anti-Semitic or racist. It's more of a inside information there that there's it was about the Syria strike.
So February 11th, that's today, Squawker reported and posted up from Paul Nehlen, and Paul Nehlen said 6 hours ago or whatever it had to be, Twitter has now banned me and my campaign spokesman from the platform. Wow. This is clearly an attack on the very election process that we use to guard.
I will tell you that.
In this country, you will notice the silence of the complicit members of Congress working diligently to find a way to make DACA amnesty a reality while Twitter is busily censoring actual conservatives off the de facto town square.
Yeah, I like that that he called it the de facto town square. That's the problem that we're going to have to grapple with for the next couple generations. You know,
it's truly unfortunate. It's unfortunate. I don't think. Okay, what he put up and what he said was not cool.
Right.
I don't endorse it whatsoever. Matter of fact, Karen and I looked at each other like, you got some explaining to do.
Yeah, he's got to just come out and apologize. Here's what I think he meant.
But to ban him from Twitter, to remove him, block him, and his campaign manager from Twitter.
I'd like to know why his campaign manager gets blocked.
I don't know. That's not good.
I mean, there may have been some other additional tweets that we're not aware of. That I would hope so. It shouldn't be like, you know what? I don't like these tweets that Paul Nehlen put out, and so we're going to ban him. And while we're at it, we're going to get his campaign manager.
Get everybody connected to it.
Yeah. So look, Twitter is the new Gestapo. I'm not defending Paul. I think that what he did is obviously wrong. And if he were to ask me before tweeting that if he should, I would say, "Are you nuts?
Not cool, man."
Yeah, don't do that. And here's the thing. If I were the CEO of Twitter or any social platform, it would be my policy, no matter. Now, I understand that when people do threatening tweets or whatnot, something where you're advocating breaking the law, and by the way, speech is never breaking the law.
Or if you're like Jake Tapper and you mention a guillotine twice in the same sentence when talking about Donald Trump.
Right.
Not cool.
My policy would be, as somebody running a social media site, is that if you are a publicly elected official or a current candidate, you cannot say anything to get you banned.
Pretty much you can't.
You could yell fire in a crowd theater. You could say, I'm going to assassinate whoever, and it stays because this is part of the election process.
And if you get up there and you do a Periscope as a Paul Nehlen or a Democrat or whatever, to where they get on and they just start screaming in, the N-word, all left and right, blast all left and right. No, please.
You could have a
leave that up there.
That has to be left up there.
Just like what's his face from Seinfeld with the hair, the tall.
Oh, when he was like he started screaming the N-word into the microphone at a
stand-up comedy event.
It was a performance.
Yes.
Now he had been heckled to death.
And that's why he lost it.
Right, it wasn't part of his actual act. It wasn't part of the act. It was not part of the act.
And he couldn't stop saying it. And then afterwards he made the rounds with Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, and
right. I think Seinfeld took him under his wing and said, "You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay."
And then you never hear from him again with his protection program,
Something like that. So, and obviously I don't condone that either, but he was not. Here's the thing. When somebody does a stand-up routine and he's yelling the N-word in the microphone and he's not a public figure and all that stuff, if I don't want that on the platform and I don't feel like it's of any use for public consumption, then if I want to ban it, I'm ban it, whatever. But if you're a public figure and you say something so bad that it's going to really hurt you politically, to take it down is helping them. Twitter, Jack Dorsey, listen to me. I know you can hear me because you're probably monitoring us 24/7, and I know CNN is. CNN is listening to this right now. Period.
Well, Jack Tapeworm's got me blocked on Twitter.
Oh no, but they have a whole staff. They hired a whole staff to monitor us. Listen carefully. When you took those controversial tweets off of Twitter, you helped Paul Nehlen.
Yeah, now it's gone. I can't even find it to tell you what he said.
You helped him because now people that didn't see it or may not hear about the story will not see it. You helped them. So that's why, you do controversy. I would love if Nancy Pelosi, let's say I own Twitter or I'm the CEO or the president, and Nancy Pelosi puts up that, I hope that Planned Parenthood kills more black babies. I'm not taking that down.
No,
I want that up there for the world to see. In fact, I might even promote it.
Yeah, I would definitely promote it. Let everybody, because we've got to let everybody know who these people are.
Right.
When they speak out and say who they are, then you really have that opportunity to then make a wise decision and say, you know what? I'm not down with that. I would go so far as to, back during the Civil Rights Days, there were restaurants that would put signs up that would say, the restaurant in the window would say, whites only. Yeah. I'll be honest with you, if somebody wants to do that, I don't have a problem with that because we now know who they are
Yeah, and I play devil's advocate on that a little bit.
They would be out of business.
Right.
Nobody would be caught dead in that.
Yeah, I would love to see how well a business does today that puts a sign out front that says whites only. However, I understand that there was a point in time where that was actually problematic.
We had to stop the Democrats from doing that.
Right. The Democrats who were putting whites only signs in the South, it was problematic because it got to the point where black people couldn't even go anywhere.
Right.
So that was obviously an issue. But today, you're right. Today, you could almost roll back those laws that prevented that because they would be put out of business. Who wants to go to, in this virtue signaling era we have today, who's going to go to a business that is so controversial like that?
I did take a screenshot. I did take a screenshot of this one.
Uh-oh.
We won't lose this. We've got this, folks. Let me post this up on Periscope. This is a tweet. Somebody tweeted out about Maxine Waters. Said Maxine Waters tells U.S. Bank that she needs their money to get elected, but doesn't want anyone to mention the 41,000 Somalian refugees being relocated in Los Angeles until after the November elections because it may hurt her chances of re-election. Maxine Waters took that tweet and re-quoted that tweet, commented on it, re-quoted it. She said, FBI Los Angeles at Twitter support. This is an illegally forged document. It is against federal law to misrepresent a government official. A complaint was filed with the FBI. Please remove this post at April D. Ryan at Angela_Rod.
Well, is she telling the truth? I mean, the default is that she's lying. That's the default for us.
Well, this says House of Representatives, Washington. It looks, and it's got her signature on it. It's got a stamp.
Unless you actually have it in your hand and you can see that the actual embossed, notarized, and whatever.
No. They ruined Roy Moore.
I'm ruin her. You want to fight fire with fire?
Guilty until proven innocent.
Okay, I agree with you on that.
No, I'm sorry. It's just that Maxine Waters is a very despicable individual. And Paul Nealon's gone. Maxine Waters is still there. And
she wants the post to get taken down because it has a forged document. I don't think an image of an illegally forged document.
If it was a forged document, why would you respond to it as if it was, you give it legitimacy?
Well, she's saying that it's not legit.
But she responded to it on Twitter.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I
wouldn't say a word. Wouldn't say a word. I would probably call the FBI.
It depends on if it goes viral. If it goes viral, you got to say something.
She made it go viral because she retweeted it.
Okay, if it wasn't viral at the time, I would wait.
Yes.
Oh, gosh. Unbelievable.
Anyway, so folks, Donald Trump this week. Let's get on some really great news.
Let's hear some good stuff.
Here's the news that nobody's talking about. Do you know Donald Trump was in Cincinnati this week?
Yeah, I met him.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you say, what's up, brah?
Actually, I wasn't sure what I was going to say to him, so he broke the ice and said, it was a Jim Renacci sticker on my lapel.
Sweet.
And he was like, oh, Jim Renacci, you like him? It's a good guy. He's on the plane with me. He's around here somewhere. And he turned around and looked around. And I was like, yeah. Well, I'm voting for him. We're really rooting for him. And that was my discussion with good old President Donald Trump.
Sweet. So Donald Trump's speech, sum it all up. Here it is. Just 1 minute. Sum it up. Here's Donald Trump in Cincinnati. It was a phenomenal speech. And it was really good to connect with the heartland of America, manufacturing, industries. I mean, it's just really good that we've got a president that appreciates that.
Tax cuts. I signed into law. Your paychecks are going way up. Your taxes are going way down. And right now, for the first time in a long time, and you've seen it, factories are coming back. Everything's coming back. They all want to be where the action is. America is once again open for business. Right? We've already created nearly 2.6 million jobs since the election, including more than 200,000 new jobs in manufacturing. We love manufacturing. Those are real jobs, not the other kind where they talk, but there's nothing there. We're bringing back those 4 magnificent words, made in the USA.
That's phenomenal, and information that you're not going to get. You are not going to get this anywhere. Did you hear about what happened in America this week?
In America?
Yeah.
Probably lots of stuff, but you want to fill me in on what you're talking about?
Well, let's talk about the economy. Has anybody heard about the economy? What's going on with the econ in America? We just passed up January. January's closed. We're now in February. Here's January's articles of this week talking about January, the first month of 2018. This is by CNBC. I don't know why.
I think they're at odds with the rest of NBC because sometimes they sound a little different than your MSNBCs.
Well, the economy is on track to put up blockbuster growth numbers in the first quarter, according to the latest forecast from Atlantic Fed. So apparently, CNBC is now reporting that blockbuster GDP growth numbers expected, and this is from Atlanta Fed, GDP is expected to surge to 5.4% to start 2018. The central bank branch estimated in its latest rolling look at how the economy is progressing. If the forecast holds, it will be the best quarter since the Great Recession ended, in 2009. The previous highest was third quarter of 2014, which hit 5.2%. However, the Atlantic Fed's tracker has shown to have, and I put this in there, it's shown to have reliability issues in the past, in particular, the model's sensitivity to the ISM Manufacturing Index, which has led the gauge astray multiple times, causing growth to be overstated. Okay, I threw that in there, and there was a whole long article about CNBC. But here's the takeaway. What I want you to understand is that they're already predicting the first quarter of 2018 to be huge. They said 5.4%, that would be a knockout punch.
Yeah.
But if it's 3%, I'm excited. If it's 3.5%, I'm excited. You know what I'm saying?
So even if it comes short of what... That's weird. So CNBC is doing your typical MSNBC trickery, fake news trickery, where they take ridiculously phenomenal news and say, yeah, but you do know that it's going to come in less than this. So it's going to be big letdown, huge letdown. So that's what they're trying to push, and what they're going to find is we're not going to let them get away with it. Because like Brian said, if it comes in at 3.5%, that's a huge win. And they're going to spin it as, it's 2 whole points lower than what was expected.
And it's not my prediction. It's an Atlantic Fed. Okay. So this by the Washington Examiner. Roaring economic optimism index hits a 13-year high. Credit to tax cuts. Despite this week's stock market tumble, which if you're alive in America, you know, because that's all the mainstream media reported on, Donald Trump's stock market took a...
They call it the Donald Trump crash, which is interesting because if you put all of your money into stocks the day he got elected, and you didn't sell or buy any, whatever, you just have it now, you're way up.
Way up.
So,
and the 1,000 point drop... Okay, just hold. You only lose money when you cash out.
Right.
Wait the next day, there's a bounce back. And there was another bounce back on Friday. Anyways, so stock market tumble, faith and optimism in the U.S. economy has hit a 13-year high, according to leading poll on economic confidence. The IBD, the TIPP Economic Optimism Index jumped in February to 56.7 from 55.1, marking the 17th consecutive month in positive territory.
Okay.
A reading below 50 indicates optimism, while reading above 50 signals optimism. pessimism versus optimism. So here's the thing. The thing is that the optimism for the U.S. economy is it's through the roof. People are really excited about what's going on. I know the company that I work for is now buying some more equipment. Donald Trump was at a manufacturing plant earlier last week, and talked about the business, talked about the company buying new equipment. And when Trump said, you buy equipment this year, you write it off this year, that was big. People got excited about that and like, well, I could use some equipment right now.
Right.
Well, let's write it off then.
I think it's funny that you could end up getting equipment for free if you buy a piece of equipment that when you write it off, it ends up putting you in a new category that will save you enough money that it offsets the entire price of the item you bought. I've actually met a guy who that he bought an $18,000 piece of equipment, and by doing so, it saved him like $15,000.
Sweet. And what would he do? What would he do with that? Put it under his mattress?
Oh, do you mean the cash?
The cash. He'll probably put it under his mattress.
No. He has a piece of equipment now. So he got a $18,000 piece of equipment for just a couple $1,000s, and that's pretty awesome.
No, that is good. Not only that, but he could use that to make more money.
Oh, yeah.
Help out more customers, do whatever it takes. So
Right.
There's a long list of things that benefits. This is Washington Reuters. U.S. jobless claims dropped to a near 45-year low. Okay, so now MSNBC, CBS, ABC, CNN screaming that Donald Trump is lying when he says that unemployment or jobless claims have dropped to a near 45-year low. Okay, well, Reuters out of Washington's reporting it.
Oh, there you go.
I just quote an article from Reuters. The number of Americans filing for unemployment benefits unexpectedly fell last week, dropping to its lowest level in nearly 45 years. As the labor market tightens further, bolstering expectations of faster wage growth this year, the second straight week decline in claims reported by the Labor Department on Thursday also pointed to a strong job growth momentum, which could further drive unemployment rate lower. The extremely low level of claims is a sign of tightness in the labor market and suggests that February is shaping up to be another solid month for job creation, said John Riding,
Awesome.
chief economist at RDQ Economics in New York. It's not far from the all-time high set in 2002 at 62.9%. Oh, where the hell did that come from?
Well, 2002, George, we had a Republican in.
Right.
Just FYI.
And so Market Watch, this is from Market Watch, wages grow at faster pace in more than 8 years. Yeah, because under Obama, it wasn't no good. That wasn't no good at all. As U.S. adds 200,000 jobs in January, here's the big picture from Market Watch. The economy is closing in on its 9th year of expansion, and it's expected to keep chugging along in Donald Trump's second year in office. Unemployment is likely to dip below 4% for the first time since 2000, and the Trump tax cuts are giving the economy a big dose of fresh stimulus.
Real quick, I want to interject in all this positive news. A lot of this stuff and a whole bunch of additional positive things were said at the State of the Union address.
True. But real quick, here's business's biggest worry. Shortage of skilled workers. I'm just saying.
Which, you know what that's going to do? That's going to boost the enrollment in colleges and stuff.
Well,
so here's my point. Breaking news this week was his speech in Cincinnati where he called senators and congressmen on the left un-American. And the way it was reported was treasonous, and I don't know if you have that soundbite or not, but I can definitely explain it if you don't.
No, go ahead.
So basically, in his speech, he walked through all the positive things very quickly. He summarized all the positive things that he said that left the Democrats at the State of the Union speech sitting on their butts while everybody else was wildly cheering. All the positive news. All the things that are making America great again. And he said, he actually repeated it. He said what they did shows that they are un-American. And he repeated, un-American. So he said it twice. And then somebody in the crowd screamed out, "It's treason!" And he points out in the crowd and he goes, somebody on the crowd said treasonous. Is it treasonous? Well, yeah, why not? And of course, the mainstream media ran with it. I just want to point out, in the midst of Brian talking about all this positive stuff that's going on in America economically and all the positive things that were said by Trump in the State of the Union address, that, he could have gone to Cincinnati, did a 15, 20, 30-minute speech, 45-minute speech, whatever.
Right.
These things would totally go under the radar. They won't be covered, or even if they are covered, it could just be the same old, and people get bored of it and not watch anymore. Donald Trump makes sure that doesn't happen. He made sure, he said that they were un-American. That's controversial to call half of our elected congressmen un-American, and he knew that was going to get headlines, and he couldn't help himself but to go ahead and agree with the people that support Donald Trump. When we call them treasonous, he can't help but to say, well, why not?
Right.
As opposed to John McCain, who goes out there, and when you say something like Barack Hussein Obama, whoa, we do not.
You were on the campaign. You
like
saw that. You saw.
Oh,
that.
it was big news when somebody. It was here in Cincinnati. It was Cunningham. Cunningham introduced.
He's a big radio show, AM radio show conservative guy.
So Cunningham goes up, and he's going to be the big introducer to the candidate at the time, John McCain, back in 2008. And he said, basically, he's running against Barack Hussein Obama. And back then, people weren't using his middle name.
Well, you couldn't.
Right.
Forbidden. You were forbidden.
So John McCain takes the microphone from him after being introduced so kindly by Bill Cunningham. I was trying to remember his first name. Bill Cunningham. And he said, no, we don't use that kind of language when describing good men. He's a good man, a good family man. We don't call him Hussein. And it was like, you do realize that's his name, right?
No, he probably didn't. He probably did not.
He didn't care.
No.
He virtue signals so hard.
Well,
he's embarrassed to even call him what his real middle name is.
They tapped John McCain, and John McCain knew he wasn't going to win, but he knew he had to do his job.
The same people that got us Barack Obama as president were the same people who installed John McCain as his foil.
Right.
It's for real. But anyway, so
what else was said? There was what you said. You were telling me there was one other thing that was said that John McCain said that you don't say. That when
the woman came up and said he's a Muslim.
Whoa! We do not.
I don't know where this was. I don't know if it was in Cincinnati, but it was another controversial thing where somebody grabbed the mic. He was sending the mic around almost like a round table. It was like a rally where he was allowing people to ask questions, and some old nice lady said, I just want to say that Barack Obama's a Muslim!
Cut the mic! Cut the mic!
So somebody yanked the mic away from her, and of course, John McCain said, no, we don't say those things about good men. Good men like Barack Obama. He's a good man. He's my best friend. I really hope I'm going to vote for him. I'm voting for him. I think you should, too. We don't call people Muslims around here.
He said he was a Christian. I mean, after the interviewer from CNN reminded him. My Muslim faith.
Yeah.
You mean your Christian faith? Oh, you get my Christian faith. Yeah.
I did say that, didn't I?
Thanks for catching me on that one.
Oh, man. Can we edit that? We did edit that, didn't we? Yeah, that's...
So
wow.
we're talking about the news right now. Folks, you are listening to Smith Radio, Military Veteran Talk Radio. If this is the first time you've been on the show, listen to the show, we welcome you. Thank you very much. Hit the share button, hit the follow button, and follow me on Twitter at Brian P. Smith, and then Carrie is at Smith Radio on Twitter. We usually scope throughout the week, and we tweet throughout the week. A lot of great information. And right now, we're talking about the news that you didn't hear this week.
Uh-oh.
The phenomenal economic boom that is happening in America. That really is. The United States of America. Donald Trump is president, whether you like it or not.
How do you spell America?
America.
Okay, I'll take it.
So this by the Wall Street Journal. This is great news, folks. This is phenomenal. I'm shocked when I read these articles. I'm like, where have they been? Where have they been? This by the Wall Street Journal. U.S. oil production tops 10 million barrels a day for the first time since 1970. Shale production helped lift November output. This was 2017 November. Lift output to just shy of a record. U.S. oil production surpassed 10 million barrels a day, and this is for the first time in 50 years, a milestone that underscores the growing dominance of U.S. oil industry. While global oil exporters once dismissed shale as a flash in the pan, the industry has emerged more efficient than ever from a 3-year oil price rout and is poised to take advantage of prices that are at their highest levels since late 2014. Folks.
Supply and demand.
Supply and demand, and don't you ever count out a capitalist or an American who just has an idea to make something bigger, better, and more awesome. Streamline it. Make it faster. We know it's worth something. Let's produce it in a way to where we can maximize profits. Shale's new, and they just need to come up with some new technology, new backers to help make it more competitive.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things that was unimaginable back in the day when people were saying, we have a finite amount of oil because it takes thousands and thousands and thousands of years for the earth to create oil.
Right.
And so once we use it all up, it's going to be thousands of years before it gets replenished. And one day it's going to happen, and we're not going to have any more energy anymore in that way. And all of a sudden, not only are we able to come up with new and creative and innovative ways to get more oil, maybe deeper, or maybe in a place where we couldn't reach, or maybe quality that we didn't think was good enough at the time, but then we came up with ways to make it better, make it higher quality, or useful. Now, all of a sudden, we have new energy sources. I think natural gas is just out of control how much natural gas we're able to get now. And when you increase the supply, it's going to reduce the cost. And I'm not really worried about, in my lifetime, running out of the energy. Interesting thing about the American oil production is that it wasn't just that we have just discovered it or came up with new technology to do it. I think the EPA is getting slashed and all these regulations. The EPA and whatever regulations that they invent out of their head is the reason why our production was so low. And now that Donald Trump is in there, it's like, get out of the way. We're making oil.
December 2017, Trump administration set to roll back $900 million in Obama-era offshore drilling regulations. That is almost $1 billion in regulations removed. What do you
right? And it's important because if it costs X amount of dollars for a barrel of oil, and it costs us in America more to get the oil out of the ground than the price of the oil, then we're not producing oil.
Right.
It's not going to happen.
Right.
We have to just buy it from the Middle East or wherever, all these terrorist countries. And so to slash these regulations in order for it to be profitable for us to produce our own oil is so critical.
Well, the other thing, too, is in the Middle East, Saudi already has reserves. Their oil is already out of the ground. So, and that was the big problem with shale. Shale wasn't in reserves yet. The oil where they were fracking, it just new. It's starting to happen. And so the Saudis dropped the price of oil to make it non-profitable for shale to happen.
Right.
But then Obama's out, prices kind of go up, they find new technology, new ways to do it. There's more than one way to skin a cat. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think that it was necessary for these companies' survival when the Middle East drop the price of the barrel of oil, all of a sudden all these new companies in Texas are like, oh crap, how are we going to stay afloat? And that's when the innovation happens.
Right. And so some speculators are saying that American shale oil is the new Saudi Arabia, the new oil, the fountain of money. More shale oil in America than anywhere in the world.
Right.
Right here.
You know, I always thought that there was a silver lining at the end of the, you know, when it comes to us not producing anything, us sending all of our money over to the Middle East to buy their oil, the Middle East supplying the world with all the oil and them getting rich, I thought, gosh, this is just a disaster. And I was thinking, you know, is there a silver lining in this? One day when the oil in the earth gets low, who's going to be the first one out of oil? It's going to be the ones that have been pumping it all these years.
Right. Not only are they going to be out of oil, but all of a sudden, ironically, we wind up with all of it.
Because we haven't been pumping it. So
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe there's a silver lining in all this. But in a way, there's, you know, decades they've been pumping in the Middle East, and us for decades have been just letting it sit in the ground. So I think that head start is hopefully all it needs.
Well, not only that, but I'd rather have a capitalist involved in the production of oil versus having an entire the families involved of the complete control of the oil.
Princes.
Yeah. Come on. It's all trickery. It's all fakery. Whenever they need more money or they want to cut out another country from making money, then they can turn the spigots on and off as they desire. Anyway, so this is something else about energy, folks. We right now in America are using more energy than we've ever used before. The consumption of energy is being used exponentially. It is a great thing because energy is able to keep up with us. We have that ability, and we're producing.
And it's being done more efficiently, I believe.
Right. This article out, utilities. Energy suppliers like Washington Pepco, Baltimore Gas and Light, Pacific Power, Rocky Mountain Power, and Commonwealth Edison say they plan to give hundreds of thousands of customers a rate cut due to the tax reform. Wow. Who couldn't use a cutback on the electric bill?
And I don't think anybody was even talking about this in anticipation. You know, there's the law of unintended consequences. You didn't know that when taxes were raised that it was causing your utility bill to go through the roof.
Well, it causes your food to go up, too. We were spending you spend a lot more money on food and not even realize it.
Everything goes up. I mean, think about how much more it costs to transport your food. Like if you buy oranges and you live up north, this stuff is coming from way down south or way out west.
Well, California with the fuel prices of $5-6 for diesel. What?
Yeah.
Come on,
All
man.
of a sudden, your fruits and vegetables are really expensive if you don't live very close to them.
We lived in Long Beach, South LA, South Coast, South Beach, in California. We lived right there at the port, the Los Angeles port, which is in Long Beach. All the food, everything's dropped. It's all right there. And now we live in Cincinnati, 2,000 miles away. Our food bill in Cincinnati is almost half the price as it was in Long Beach, California.
It doesn't make any sense because probably a lot of stuff you were buying was probably more local, which means it would have cost less for them to get it to you. And meanwhile, the same food you were getting in L.A. is the food that's shipped all the way to Cincinnati for you to purchase. I mean, obviously not in every case, but definitely out-of-season foods, fruits and vegetables, definitely, 100%.
Those trucks hit Nevada or Arizona to fuel up. They don't stop in California.
They push it across the border. Oh, my gosh.
And the last one that I've got, this from Gateway Pundit, our friend Jim Hoft. Apparently his brother Joe Hoft is
I don't think I ever met him.
A guest poster on gatewaypundit.com. If you don't check out that website, you absolutely should. And follow Jim on Twitter.
I don't feel like looking real quick.
At Jim Hoft.
Well, Gateway Pundit, at Jim Hoft is the
Twitter.
But I don't know about Joe Hoft, though.
You got to check out Joe Hoft.
I need to find his Twitter account.
Right. So
somebody in the comments put up his Twitter.
So this posted by the Gateway Pundit, Joe Hoft guest post, President Trump decreases the debt to GDP ratio in his first year in office. Donald Trump decreases the debt to GDP growth in his first year in office. So GDP grew, gross domestic product grew more than the debt, if you will. Okay? You're like, oh, well, that's kind of cool. This is the first time that has happened in over 50 years. The higher the country's debt to GDP ratio, the less healthy the country's economy is. With GDP numbers released yesterday, President Trump's policies have officially decreased the debt to GDP growth by 1.2% in the president's first year. In contrast, President Barack Hussein Obama.
Did you say Hussein?
So that number, 1.2%, okay? GDP to debt ratio, 1.2% in the good, okay? President Barack Hussein Obama increased the debt. See, Trump increased gross domestic product. Obama increased the debt ratio in his first year in office by 14.5%.
Yeah, that's not good.
Obama increased the rate of total of 37% over his 8 years in office. No president in more than 50 years has decreased the debt to GDP ratio in his first year in office by more than 1% since Nixon in 1969. President Reagan and Bush decreased the debt to ratio in their first year in office, but not less than 1%.
Wow.
So
that's impressive. I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, we're talking about a guy, the first president we've had in my lifetime and probably anybody listening's lifetime that has any idea what the hell they're doing with regards to business. They're just career politicians. They're good talkers. They're good liars.
And we know
how to
this.
make people feel good. And you get Donald Trump in there, and here's a guy who's been in the trenches. He's not just some billionaire that's like, yeah, let me sign some papers and we're going to build some stuff and sits in an office high up in the skyscraper in a corner. I mean, people know that he puts the hard hat on and goes and sees what's happening. Actually.
He's not a micromanager, but you got to take assessment of the situation at times.
Right. He wants to see with his own eyes.
Right.
And he's done that, and he's applying what he's learned. It turns you into a more wise person. So he's applying his wisdom to his presidency, and that's why you're able to actually see real solutions.
This is the information. Folks, if you know about this information, if this is readily available to you on the news anywhere, please let me know, because this is stuff that I'm not hearing anywhere.
Which is?
Okay, now if you're on Periscope.
Boy, here we go.
You can see the numbers. This is Barack Hussein Obama's
You love saying his middle name now.
farewell speech. The American people are much better off today than before I took office 28 years ago.
Real quick, that quote is so cliche. They always say it, every single president, we're better off than we were 4 years ago. And it's just, no. They're stealing that Reagan line.
Right. So when Obama took office, national debt was $10 trillion. When he left, it was $20 trillion.
Right.
Debt per citizen, when he took, $31,000. When he left, $61,000. Labor force participation rate. This is huge because people are now participating in the workforce like they've never have before. But when he took office, the participation rate was 65.8%. When he left office, 62%. Home ownership, 67 when he took it, 63 when he left it.
Wow.
Real medium household income, 57.7 when he took office, 54 when he left office. So our household income fell by,
that doesn't even consider
by
like inflation.
$3,700 per year. Average health insurance rate plan. This is a joke. I mean, average health insurance rate family plan $12,000 when he took office, 18,000 when he left.
That doesn't make any sense to me. I feel like everybody I know has had a 3 times increase in their health insurance. A lot of people had to either give it up or take on second jobs or whatever. I don't even believe those numbers. I think it's way more.
Right. Food stamp dependents, 32 million when he took office, 43.6 million when he left office. He added 11.6 million people to welfare. 11.6 million people got on welfare.
And if you remember, I think it was Brian that told me this. It was like their goal to increase the amount of people on food stamps. They actually did commercials to try to get people, advertisements to try to get people to sign up. They wanted the numbers to increase. It was like a marker of success for them to get people on these social programs.
Absolutely.
Insane.
In L.A., there were commercials all the time, and Spanish commercials telling people how to get food stamps, where to get government assistance. You deserve to have these things. And lastly, persons living in poverty. When Obama took office, 38 million in poverty. When he left office, 45 million people in poverty. So he raised the poverty level to 7 million people.
They would never word it that way, but yeah, that is part of their goals too. I mean, the thing about communism is you got to have as many people in poverty as possible, and then you tout yourself as the solution to their problems, and you never solve it. In fact, you make it worse.
Right. If you solved it, what happens?
Then you're out.
Yeah. It's like a doctor who doesn't want his patients to get healthy.
That's right.
Because otherwise you lose your job.
Yeah, you would lose your job if everybody in your town was healthy.
And you're like, Brian, where does this information come from? This information sources: U.S. Department of Treasury, U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, U.S. Department of Agriculture, U.S. Congressional Budget Office. This is government numbers.
Yikes!
You talk about communism. I put that at the end of stack of stuff, but I don't want to miss it.
No. We always have to have a segment on communism in Smith Radio.
Go to the last page.
Okay.
Did you know that there's something going on in the Olympics? Did you hear anything about that?
Well, I've been watching it. Is there something that I missed?
I was told that they opened the lyrics with the song Imagine.
Oh, no, that's the communist anthem.
Now, the source that told me this is a good... He's the same buddy that gave me lemonade.
We still haven't opened that.
Oh, I'm not drinking this Kool-Aid, baby. Oh, hell no. So if you see that little orange top, folks, that right there means I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid.
Right.
The lid is still on. So the same guy who gave me lemonade, he said, Brian, you didn't know? I said, I had no idea. He said, apparently, maybe he's wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Somebody tell me.
A source close to you told you that.
Source familiar with the Olympics.
Imagine was because he knew how to turn on the channel.
Right.
If you're listening right now, Mr. Source, no offense.
You were with him last night.
I know, but I'm just saying, I'm not trying to dox him or anything.
Well, I'm not going to dox you either, man.
Okay.
It's all good.
All right.
So when you're saying, Brian, Kerry, what are you talking about, communist? Imagine. It's a beautiful song, Kerry.
No. It's
and I would play
Karl Marx couldn't have wrote a better lyrics.
I don't want to play it because I don't want YouTube to throw us in prison.
Oh, yeah, we did one time and we never got out of prison.
No.
We're still there.
So the first lyrics of the song Imagine by John Lennon.
If you don't sing it, this is just not cool.
What?
I'm putting Brian on the spot.
No, man.
Let's see what the commenters say. Do you guys want Brian to actually sing it? We're going karaoke style. Now,
Imagine.
Only if I bust out a piano and try to do the piano part of it. So.
Yes, you would have to. Imagine there's no heaven. That's the first line of the song.
You're off on the wrong foot. You're off on the wrong foot.
The wrong way.
Oh,
we're talking about North Korea, South Korea.
With communists.
And we're talking about mainstream media salivating and absolutely in love with Kim Jong-un's sister.
Yeah, they were fawning over her big time.
Oh, she's now up for the Nobel Peace Prize.
Why? Because she showed up?
Oh, because she took the reins. She took all the attention.
If I was, by the way, Otto Warmbier was with VP Pence. I would have turned around and said, "Hey, you know what your brother did to my son?"
I don't know how he did it. I don't know how he was able to stand there. So imagine the song "Imagine" by John Lennon. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today.
It's called atheism, which, by the way, that communism makes that mandatory.
Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. And no religion, too.
I don't know why they throw the religion in there again. Is it because he's from England and...
No, he hates religion. Communism. In communism and Islam, your religion is the state.
Okay, that second verse is pure globalism. No countries. Yeah.
Yeah, no countries. Nothing to kill or die for. And imagine all the people living life in peace.
It's interesting he puts nothing to kill or die for. It sounds like a pitch for why we shouldn't have countries, but in reality, he's basically saying that there's no ideology. Because that's what you really fight for in wars is you want to defend your way of life, which is your ideology. And in our case, in America, it's what we see, the philosophy, the Enlightenment philosophy we see in the Constitution. We would fight and die for that. And I actually signed up to do it, and so did Brian. That's what we were in the military. And it's to support and defend the Constitution to the death if need be. And if the rest of the country wants to come and try to take that away, we fight for that.
Yeah, we fight for that. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I know there's a lot of commies out there.
Maybe not a dreamer, but a communist for sure.
Yeah. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will be as one.
I'll pass.
Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world.
So he's talking about, this is an attack directly on capitalism.
Yes!
So capitalism is the solution to when God says in the Bible that
you must labor.
If you don't labor, you're going to starve and die. You must labor. You don't work, you starve, and you die. So the solution to that fact of life is capitalism. Socialism or communism or Marxism, whatever you want to call it, is an attempt to ignore that fact and try. The argument is no, you can survive without working. Come on, you just got to help each other. No, you're literally ignoring the Bible. You're ignoring, and forget the Bible for a second, because there's some people out there that may be like, no, I'm not a Christian. It doesn't matter. You do not have to believe the Bible to come to the realization that the things that are said in it are 100% verifiably true. They are unfalsifiable, and you could try it out yourself. Try to survive without labor or on somebody else's labor.
William Bradford, the original colonial governor, original pilgrim that came over on the big boats, big giant boats. William Bradford initially...
The Mayflower.
Yeah, initially allowed a commune or, communist little commune where everybody gets together. You work hard, everybody throws stuff in a basket, we all share.
Help each other. We're just going to help each other.
He found so readily quick that people were dying, and it was not working.
Right, and it's funny because this was done before Karl Marx was even born. So communism has been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years.
Plato's Republic talks about it, no?
It's in all that. The Leviathan, Plato's Republic, all these. There's and Plato's as far back as we can go. I guarantee you, if you could find some philosophy or writings from people before Plato's Republic, you probably find that there was always this attempt since the beginning of civilization to try to just do like some sort of a commune.
Create. Their whole thing is because they don't believe in God, they don't believe in heaven, they don't believe in paradise. They must create, for those looking for the fountain of youth, to those trying to create paradise on earth. This is their answer because they don't believe there's any other paradise. They don't believe there's any other way. So we must do everything we can to create the Garden of Eden, a utopian society.
We got to get back to the garden.
Right, we got to get back to the garden. And so their desperate attempt, and their only answer in all of human history is communism.
Yeah, I actually love the story of the Garden of Eden is so awesome because they're saying you can't ever have it again. You're never going to have it, and it's true. And part of that is that you must labor from now on in order to survive. And there's been so many people over the centuries that have just tried to ignore that fact.
Right.
And it's not going to happen.
So William Bradford got everybody together that was still alive and said, here's the deal. That's your land, that's your land, that's your land. Whatever you make of that is yours, and if you want to share it with somebody, that's fine. But as it stands right now, if you don't, whatever is on that land, that's all you get.
Yeah, you're responsible for your own sustenance.
Right.
Which is awesome. You put the responsibility on somebody, and you kind of give them this threat. It's a true threat, but it works, which is basically, hey, if you blow it, you're done. You may not survive this winter.
Well, Gary, what about the government safety net? I need a safety net to catch me.
You're in the new world. I mean, it's kind of...
They don't net? You mean England hasn't sent us a safety net? They don't care if we live or die?
No, they don't. I mean, you left the safety net.
Right. So here's the thing. And famous words have always... You'll never regret the things that you have done, but you'll always regret the things that you never tried. Throw the lines off, sail set from safe shores, and discover, travel, discover, look throughout the world. I mean, I did it when I was a kid, and it was scary to go into the military. It was scary when I sat there and they were shaving everybody's head. I said, that was the moment that I said, oh my God.
There was I think everybody goes through it. I remember when they sat us down and they started reading us the riot act. It was one of the first days of boot camp, and I was like, I may have made a mistake here. I may have made, and I think everybody had that I may have made a mistake moment in boot camp.
Oh yeah,
and and all of a sudden you realize, well, I mean,
I got to see it through.
I got to see it through, and I'm so glad. You know, there were so many times where I thought, I'm not going to make it. I don't think I'm going to make it. I mean, how many weeks of this? How many have we done? We're on day 4.
Yeah, not weeks. No, we're not in a week.
We're on day 4, and we have how many?
I would absolutely have to say the first day we were in, everybody's got regular civilian clothes on, and they call us rainbows.
What?
Yep.
They did not degrade us that bad.
Well, rainbows because everybody's got a different color on.
Okay.
Different color T-shirts, different color pants, different color shoes. So it wasn't. It's just what everybody called them.
All right.
So by your second
or special little rainbow. I thought that was in the Navy. They did that kind of stuff. Because Brian was in the Air Force.
Airmen that they called rainbows. They called civilians that were coming in.
Oh, because they were dressed in civilian clothes.
Yes, a black shirt on, a red shirt on, a white shirt on, blue jeans, black pants.
Maybe they called us rainbows and we just didn't hear them.
It's possible.
Yeah, it's very possible.
So by the second day, everybody had BDUs. Everybody looked the same. Your head was now finally shaved.
Finally.
And they knew how long you'd been in by how much hair you didn't have.
Right. If it was clean and right up against the scalp, you're probably fresh.
And
also...
They would call you slick. Slick because you have no chevrons, you've got no symbols, you've got nothing on the sleeves.
We didn't have those the entire boot camp, but...
the tech sergeants would call us slick. Slick, get over here.
You were never allowed to be in any kind of a uniform without it being really well pressed with a lot of starch. I mean, crispy.
We went through bottles of starch.
But in boot camp, they say, put these on. I mean, they're literally pulling them out of a bag.
You were the only ones that weren't pressed.
And we were a hot mess. Everything, it looked like they crunched up your clothes on purpose, and then you put it on. We looked like the worst mess you've ever seen. It was terrible.
That's hysterical. Anyway, so we're talking about the great experiment that was William Bradford coming over here to America, found it, realizing he had to shift gears. Everybody was dying, had to go to capitalism, pure, unadulterated, unmolested and maligned by the government, because then it would turn into social cronyism. Capitalism. And what happened? What happened was the first Thanksgiving.
They all died.
They all died from salmonella. What happened was the first Thanksgiving where they gave thanks to God and for their bountiful harvest and for allowing them to have produced so much. And they went to the Indians and said, "Hey, y'all, look what we did.
We have so much. You want some?
We got bellies to fill them all. Come on, get on over here."
Right.
And that's the way it went down, folks. Capitalism. So we've got communism being embraced and loved upon
by the globalists, by the Olympic Committee, International Olympic Committee.
Yep. I'm still beside myself why they allowed this to happen for North Korea and South Korea to kind of come together. I mean,
South Korea would have had to have agreed to it too. I think that they would love to reunify, but it will not be under communism.
I don't think they understand that Kim Jong-un is so dug in deep. Why would he ever let go of that?
He can't. That's the problem with these kinds of dictatorships. They create their livelihood depends on the situation that puts them in power. They can't relinquish it.
Right.
I think we've heard this a million times before, and we hear it every single inauguration. We have this peaceful transfer of power, which is it's pretty much unheard of throughout human history. For somebody who's in charge, you're either removed by getting murdered, in a war or whatever, like Hitler taking the cyanide and shooting himself and all that kind of stuff, losing a war, or
well, look at England. I mean, you pass it on to your family for generations and generations. And
we have the French Revolution where you're drug out of the palace kicking and screaming, and eventually, and he was, for a while, I had to learn a lot about this recently with the French Revolution. He was actually considered like a captive. He was a king, but he was like under house arrest for a long time until finally it came down to the point where they caught him trying to escape. And they said, all right, that's it. We're trying you. They convicted him, and they put him under the guillotine. And, that's one way to transfer power. And then you got the Russian Revolution where they brutally murdered an entire family with little kids in it and stuff. Oh, my God. Anastasia, who was just a little girl, all I can't even think about what they went through.
Well, even in Italy during Mussolini's reign. I mean, how do you get rid of Mussolini? Oh, you tie him up and drag him through the streets.
Right.
It's brutal regime change.
So it's extreme, almost completely unique the way we do it in America. And the thing is that because of the situation in North Korea, he's not going to relinquish power. There's not any kind of a process for a peaceful transfer of power other than, oh, Dad died, I guess I better take over. That's the peaceful transfer of power. And so this whole unification of South and North Korea is going to take some major concessions on the part of Kim Jong-un, and I don't know if he wants to do it.
He's going to, I mean, it's unfortunate to say this. He's probably going to have to forcibly be removed.
It's sad.
And the government completely absorbed by South Korea and make it one Korea, capitalist, free market enterprise system.
It's going to be tough because all the North Korean citizens are brainwashed into thinking that there's something really evil about the way things are done in South Korea, and they don't want to be part of that.
Right. You've got multiple generations in North Korea. Multiple generations that literally their lives depend upon the government. Their mental state, their physical state, their monetary state, everything depends upon the government. And it's so bad and so wretched that people in their 20s in North Korea are developing glaucoma because of malnutrition.
Yeah, they have there's a whole bunch of diseases they're developing because of it.
It's unheard of.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know what to say. The funny thing about America, our presidents are, and I don't know, it seems like not the case with Trump, but they're megalomaniacs. They want to be in charge of everything. They want to be powerful. But it seems like they're willing. Well, first of all, they're legally bound to step down after 8 years, thanks to FDR.
That commie.
But they go from being upper middle class to rich to being absolutely ridiculously rich, hundreds of millions of dollars when they're done with their presidency. So it seems like, well, here's your consolation prize for not getting to be a dictator for life. You get to have pretty much be on easy street, not just for you, but pretty much your entire family from here on out. I wonder why that can't be an option for Kim Jong-un to say, hey, listen, why don't we have a unification? You can be considered the former president of North Korea, and we'll just let you have easy street from here on out. We'll give you whatever you want. We'll give you a palace, and you just won't be in charge. You'll be safe. You'll be taken care of. You'll have as much money as you need, but just get the hell out of the way so that you're not brutally destroying millions of people.
The numbers I saw, Barack Obama's net worth before becoming president of the United States was somewhere in a few $1 million, like $2, $3, $4 million, whatever it was. And when he left, he was worth $60, $70, $80 million, something crazy like that. The amount of the tens of millions of dollars that was added to his net worth while being president of the United States for 8 years, that only pays what? $250,000 a year?
Oh, 400,000.
Is it 400?
Yeah, 400.
I wasn't even close.
You're off by a factor of.
I guess they got raises since I was a
no,
kid.
it's been 400,000 for a long time. I think nobody's raising it because
they're making tens of millions on the back end.
Any president from here on out that doesn't donate the entire $400,000 per year,
like Donald
doesn't
Trump,
know what the hell they're doing.
Right.
Well, Donald Trump could because he was rich when he showed up, but even Barack Obama didn't need that $400,000.
No,
how much is he worth now?
Everything, tens of millions.
Right.
The one that really gets my goat is William Jefferson William Jefferson Clinton from the South.
From the South.
From the South. He entered into the presidency, and I'm kind of shocked by this number. They were saying that his net worth was around $500,000.
Wow. That's like poor by president standards.
However, you're in Arkansas, or as we say, Arkansas.
Flyover country.
Yeah, because you fly over and you drop the drugs off as you...
No, you didn't.
No, you did.
Oh, so Brian just introduced me to this movie with Tom Cruise. What's it called?
American Made.
American Made, where apparently Arkansas was the drop-off point for all of the cocaine during the 80s.
Thank you, Bill Clinton.
And Bill Clinton had a big part of it, apparently.
Escobar.
Yeah, Bill
Forget his name.
Pablo Escobar and Bill Clinton were in business together, apparently.
Yeah, bringing cocaine to the Arkansas and getting it up into the Hollywood elites and everybody knew cocaine was running rampant, and they even comedians joked
80s.
About it.
The 80s was the cocaine generation.
I mean, Eric Clapton sung the song "Cocaine." The name of the song is called "Cocaine."
Right. It was a problem. It was like why Jim Belushi died.
Oh, yeah.
So just too much coke and just went crazy. So,
okay.
Whatever.
So as I digress, why did I say that? Why were we going there?
You got the drop. You were talking about the flyover country.
Arkansas. Bill Clinton worth $500,000. Apparently, they didn't include his drug money. However, after being president for 8 years, they're saying that his net worth, when they left the office, broke and poor, as Hillary Clinton said.
Right. We didn't have anything.
Well, apparently they were worth somewhere around $100 million. You take a $500,000 net worth and parlay that in 8 years to $100 million.
It doesn't make any sense. I mean,
they're good. They're good at what they
They're good at being president.
It's something. Come on, man.
It's not supposed to be a for-profit enterprise.
The presidency has become a for-profit enterprise.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, where did the money come from?
Well, not only that, but Barack Hussein Obama, what has he done to create his worth?
Is it that his brand is worth more because now he can consider himself former president of the United States? I mean, that is a good brand. I mean, before you were a senator, but when you can say, oh, former president of the United States, your brand is worth a lot more because if you were to show up to a place, it's going to draw huge crowds. It's going to attract a lot of attention, and that stuff is worth money.
This from Newsweek, they say that Obama accepts $400,000 per speech.
Right. And
from Wall Street.
It makes sense. Think about it. If there was an event, somebody was throwing an event, and they were able to advertise that one of the keynote speaker is going to be former president of the United States, that's going to be something that people are going to want to come and check out, to be able to possibly, if not meet him in person, to be able to be in the same room with the former president of the United States. It's just a big deal.
Right. So, okay, I've been corrected. Obama's net worth when he left office was $40 million. Bill Clinton's was $100 million.
Right.
And they both
white.
were somewhere around $1 million or $100. Oh, you got some explaining to do on that one. Woo, Paul Nealon, anyone?
Well, there's a wage gap or something. So I don't know.
What, from man to woman?
No. Black and white people, they always get more money. They always get more money. They're always holding the black man down.
Because, what's her name? Said that, never mind. She got killed for that anyways.
Wow.
She was the one that said that Barack Obama and Big Mike and Michelle was
that Mike was the man?
Yeah.
And that Barack was the woman?
Yeah, she wound up going to a dentist and died.
Oh, yeah, that was kind of a weird story you were telling me about.
I'm mixing a couple of them together. I don't know how she did, but that was a weird story.
You're listening to the fake news portion of Smith Radio.
No, if you go to the website whatreallyhappened.com,
okay, check that out.
You will lose your mind.
Yeah, that's pretty much a list of everybody that died.
And how they died. I mean, how do you go to
Well, it's all connected to Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton.
Right, and they know.
Right.
That's where they get the money. So CNN, Kim Jong-un's sister, is stealing the show at the Winter Olympics. Dan Bongino, if you don't know Dan's a great guy, Secret Service, he's always on Fox News. He tweeted out and said, her family is stealing food and resources from starving North Koreans.
True.
But don't let that get in the way of your ridiculous story.
Yeah, the mainstream media, look, if you're a communist regime, of course you're going to be having problems because communism fails every time it's tried.
Right.
So your situation is spun by the mainstream media here in America as being, the underdog. They're trying to make it work, and these are people that we need to be looking out for, and all this kind of stuff. So that's the way they're treating North Korea.
Well, and a clear example of everything that we're talking about, sum it all up, a country that was peaceful elections, turning to democracy and turning to capitalism, and a rising star in the South Americas, Venezuela.
Oh, yeah.
And then you get Hugo Chavez that bans free and fair elections so that he can stay into play. And then communism and the destruction and the dictatorship. A short, 15 years? Well, I mean, it was wretched by 2010 when it was falling apart. But within 10 short years, destroys Venezuela. And there's the examples all over the world of this stuff, folks. Anyway, so Devin Nunes.
Oh, boy. Memogate.
Well, he tweeted out to CNN about North Korea.
Okay, what did he say?
This is about Kim Jong-un's sister stealing the show in the Winter Olympics. Devin Nunes tweeted out, she's also reportedly the propaganda director for the Communist Party who handles ideological messaging. Thanks mainstream media for promoting the regime.
Wow, that just makes them look so much worse.
Huge.
Wow. So she's not just the sister of the president or the dictator.
No, she
or the dear leader.
Reportedly the propaganda director.
Oh, so basically our treasonous media, mainstream media, is complicit with the propaganda.
Right.
So,
and don't think they're not in love with them, because they absolutely love them.
Oh my goodness.
All right. Is anything else happened this week?
There was a brawl in Washington.
Donna? Oh, you said brawl. I thought you were talking about Donna Brazier.
No.
Brazil.
No.
Oh, Brazier.
Antifa showed up and supported a Planned Parenthood, and there was a brawl that broke out over it.
Wow.
In Olympia, Washington, and it was covered by some people. And Antifa got their butts kicked.
Well, come on. I mean, Antifa pretty much snowflakies.
Check my timeline, and you can see the YouTube video on that.
That's interesting that you brought that up. In the text messages released this week, Peter Strzok, who's the FBI, that worked on the Clinton campaign, during Clinton's run-up to hide the emails and kind of make that go away. Peter Strzok, also part of the Russian collusion against Donald Trump to help find some collusion on Trump.
Right.
And was texting his girlfriend and said, and this that has to do with Planned Parenthood, and I don't know if you folks know, but every single year it's the Million Woman March, or men and women and children, on Washington, D.C. to stop the slaughter, the senseless slaughter of babies.
March for Life.
Correct. And so during one of the March for Lives, Peter Strzok texts his girlfriend, "I truly hate these people. The authorities should lie about a snow emergency to cancel their permit for March for Life."
Oh, there's just no end to the dirtiness. That's so dirty to say it. Look, if you're an actual current government employee, you shouldn't be saying stuff like this.
No,
out.
No.
Wow. Did you hear what USA Today wrote?
No, I did. I usually stay away from them because they're pretty awful.
Well, they wrote. I'm gonna have to.
And I got wrapped up in the tapeworm this week.
FBI might keep more secrets from Congress after the Nunes memo. The White House Intelligence Committee's dueling partisan memos about FBI surveillance of Trump campaign advisors will result in federal agents keeping secrets to themselves because they no longer trust Congress, experts warn.
That's not what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that people in the FBI that are pissed about this are coming out and talking about it.
Okay, so you're talking about the people
rank
that are
and file.
not
rank
and file.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm glad you pointed that out because there is a distinction. I mean, these deep state organizations are huge, and it seems like it's the leadership. I mean, these rank and file people would be scared to death to be sent to prison for the rest of their life or for extended period of time. So this really bad, corrupt, swampy behavior that you're seeing is either done by the people who are at the top or close to the top with the blessings of their bosses.
Right.
So that's an important distinction, and we know that the rank and file would not engage in this kind of stuff for fear of being thrown in prison. So this doesn't – I'm not really talking about them, but the problem is when it's corrupt from the top, major reforms need to happen, if not completely dissolving the Department of Justice and the FBI or whatever, one or the other or both. Or people are complaining about the CIA and everything now. But here's the thing. When the Department of Justice bureaus like your FBIs are saying that we need to keep secrets from Congress, I mean, you've become a rogue agency.
Because that's who you work for.
Well, they work for the president, but the oversight committee, if they want to know stuff, I don't think that they were divulging secrets to Congress. I think Congress was asking for information for their oversight duties because they are in charge of oversight of these departments. So that they're going to try to avoid doing that, you're just totally rogue at this point. And you don't have any elected officials there. They're all appointed or hired or whatnot. You are now, add to that, that it's pretty apparent to us that they have become the coup.
Yeah, absolutely. You are part of the coup. If you do not turn, if the intel committees ask you to provide information to them, secret, top secret clearance, and it's not getting out to the public, but it's elected officials that are that are required to have this oversight, and you say, I ain't doing what you ask, you're now currently part of the coup.
You're a hostile witness.
Yes.
But no, I'm saying that them not talking to Congress is not part of the coup. They're doing a coup.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now the same organizations that are trying to throw out our duly elected president are saying, you know what, we're going to keep secrets from Congress now. You just added another giant log to the fire that is going to result in the liquidation of your department. I think it should happen.
It'll have to be.
Right.
Absolutely. So let's see. Let's go with. Do you want to go with the Wiener Gate?
Oh gosh, yeah, sure. Let's talk about Wiener real quick.
Wiener,
I like talking about Wiener.
Wiener is now part of the entire Russian collusion. Did you guys know this?
Explain yourself on that one.
Well, apparently, Huma, and that's why I mentioned the website, whatreallyhappened.com, because the laundry list of people who have accidentally plane exploded, car exploded.
It was downstairs.
Okay, check to see if our audio is still up on our scope.
No, I just heard some.
Okay.
We just heard something.
Yeah, plane exploded, car exploded, accidental suicide by dentist. I mean, just the range is wide and far that all knew the Clintons. They knew them in one capacity or another. So Huma Abedin, hanging out with Hillary Clinton for a long time, very close confidant, and she's also very close ties to the Muslim Brotherhood as well. Anyways, she decided to take out an insurance policy on her own life.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that's what you would do.
Right. She took information, top secret classified information, and she sent it to herself on her personal laptop, which is unsecured.
Okay.
And that was to secure her life, to make sure she didn't wind up dead, y'all.
So in case she's about to get killed, they'll say, yeah, but I got all the proof, and you don't know where it's at. And it's going to be out if you kill me.
Right.
It's one of those.
Just like Julian Assange. There's what do they call it? A dead man?
Yeah, where I guess the dead man switch.
Yeah.
Where a bunch of stuff will be automatically released if he isn't there to stop it.
Right. So he has to stop and tell this dead man switch not to go. And then if he's not there, it's like a 24, 48-hour period. If he doesn't stop it, it will automatically release because he's been deceased or something's happened to him. So anyways, Huma Abedin had this on her laptop, and now Anthony Weiner, it has all been confiscated. Is he in prison?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because of his sexting of a 15-year-old.
Right.
Yeah.
And with his children sleeping on the bed.
That was part of it. Yeah, he's kind of a weirdo.
You talk about some sick stuff. I mean, that reminds me of Pizzagate. Anyways, I digress.
Whoa. You know what? We just got flagged.
Oh, I'm joking. There was jokes, folks. I don't know anything about pizza, and I don't know anything about picking it up at the gates. Anyways, so apparently the FBI decided to go ahead and release some information from some leaked out. FBI leaked it?
Oh.
Is there truth to that?
Yes, it was real. I verified it with Jack Posobiec.
Okay, well, give us the skinny. What happened?
So apparently, Weiner's laptop, as is just about anybody with like a smartphone, or some people on their own computer. Me personally, it's my smartphone. You have a big giant list of contacts. Everybody that you know that's going to have their phone numbers and their email addresses and their home addresses and all that.
If you got Microsoft Outlook
on
your desktop.
Yeah.
It'll save all your contacts. So you can organize them. And
in my case, mine's connected to my Google account.
Yeah.
So that way, if I get a new phone, all my contacts transfer over and everything's fine. So apparently, the FBI received his laptop as part of the investigation. And of course, they're going to scour through that and search and see if they can find any evidence against him, which of course they probably would because he's a sicko.
Oh.
And apparently, out of the blue, somebody published his entire list of contacts. 700 of them, about 650 to 700 of them.
Oh, no, you did.
Yeah, so if you search it, you can find Bill Clinton's phone number, Al Gore's phone number, a bunch of them, and several of them that I know Jack Posobiec knew the numbers of these people. I sent to Jack and said, are these their numbers? And he said, yes.
Because Jack has that number as well.
Because Jack has their numbers.
Yeah.
So that's when I knew that the list was real.
Legit.
So if you want to call up Al Gore, go ahead.
I called the Bill Clinton hotline for help, and and when I called Bill Clinton's phone number, it said, beep, 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 all circuits are busy at this time. Please try your call again.
Yeah. It was probably melted down.
That's what happens when the phone melts down.
Yeah. When the circuits become a part of the rest.
I haven't heard that probably since 9/11.
What?
Where it said, beep, 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 sorry, all circuits are busy. Please try your call again. I cannot remember a
Everybody
time.
wanted to call Bill Clinton, apparently.
Yeah.
I wanted to call, there were some numbers on there.
I wanted to find a Republican on his laptop.
There was. I don't know if I should name the name.
What you didn't tell me?
I didn't tell you?
Why didn't you name the name?
Because a lot of people might not really know it, and
I thought everybody knew that was out.
Apparently now, yeah. Well, you said there's any Republicans, and I said
now
I said
would
yes.
would it be okay for his number to be on there?
Oh, you're saying why would Wiener have it?
Yeah.
Apparently,
he's not a political person. This is more of a.
Oh, he's involved in politics.
Yeah, but he's not a politician. He's like a talking head, kind of like us, sort of.
Yeah.
A political pundit.
He's an advisor.
Yeah.
Politicians call him for advice.
Well, and the problem is he's also friends with Trump.
Oh yeah, personal friends with him, or at least that's what he says.
You're right.
Anyway.
Oh my goodness! It never ends, folks. It truly never ends. The mess ups and the screw ups. It's unbelievable. What has been going on? Oh, there was another thing that came up. We're also talking about when we mentioned, where was that at? Breaking RNC. I said early in the show, RNC and DNC colluded. There's a Republican politician and a Democrat politician that have colluded, and it's in the text messages show this. This is Martha McCallum and Ed Henry on Fox. What's that? What are you
Ed Henry.
What? What? Why is that funny?
Because he blocked like Jack Posobiec and a bunch of other people.
No!
Like literally blocked them.
So do I not have any faith in him anymore? Or he just doesn't know what he's doing?
He blocked. Jack's not the only person he blocked.
Maybe he's jealous.
I just cracked up laughing and started wondering, wow, I wonder if I troll him if he blocked me too. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Kind of weird, but he blocked several people we know.
Well,
not just Jack, several other people.
Okay, this is his report on the text messages that have to do with the DNC and the RNC.
Martha, good to see you. These text messages obtained by Fox show that Senator Mark Warner, a Democrat, as you say, who's been leading one of several probes of President Trump's ties to Russia, had extensive contact last year with the lobbyist for a Russian oligarch who offered him access, yes, to Christopher Steele. Now, Warner texted he would, quote, rather not have a paper trail in case he could not seal an agreement with the former British spy. Steele has still not agreed to an interview with the panel. Warner began texting with the lobbyist, Adam Waldman, in February 2017 about brokering a deal with the Justice Department to get the WikiLeaks founder, Julian Assange, to the U.S. to potentially face criminal charges. That went nowhere, though Warner's office tells me he turned over whatever information he got to the FBI in that matter. Warner and Waldman also exchanged dozens of texts about possible testimony from Waldman's primary client, the Russian billionaire Oleg Deripaska, who had his visa revoked by the State Department in 2006 because of charges he has organized crime ties, which he denies. Warner was intent on connecting directly with Christopher Steele without anyone else being in the loop, at least initially. An aide to the Republican chairman, Senator Richard Burr, now tells Fox he was aware of the contact that Warner made, but added, quote, I don't believe he was aware, Burr, of the content of these text messages that Fox is getting. Quote, we have so much to discuss, you need to be careful, Warner texted, but we can help our country. He sent that to Waldman last March 22nd. I'm in, texted Waldman, whose firm has ties, yes, to Hillary Clinton. Now, secrecy seemed important to Warner on March 29th, when the lobbyist revealed that Christopher Steele wanted a bipartisan letter from Warner and Burr. Quote, hey, Warner texted, can't we do brief off-the-record call today before the letter so I can frame letter? That's what Warner texted about Steele, who, of course, put together, as you said, the dossier. Warner added, quote, okay, but I would like to do a preliminary call, you, me, and him, meaning Steele, no one else, before the letter, just so we have to trail to start, want to discuss scope first, before letter, no leaks. Waldman noted repeatedly Steele was concerned about leaks, so Warner texted back March 30th, quote, we want to do this right, private in London, don't want to send letter yet, because if we can't get agreement, would rather not have paper trail. Now, the committee got the text from Waldman, I'm told, last September, and a Warner aide acknowledged that Warner and Burr revealed these texts to their colleagues quietly last October because, quote, they realized out of context it doesn't look great. But aides to Warner and Burr stressed to me today that Chairman Mr. Burr was in the loop. The senators just gave us this joint statement, quote, from the beginning of our investigation, we have taken each step in a bipartisan way, and we intend to continue to do so. Leaks of incomplete information out of context by anyone, inside or outside our committee, are unacceptable. The Senate Intelligence Committee has been in possession of this material for several months. The full committee has had access to the material and been briefed on its content, and committee investigators have pursued all relevant investigative leads related to this material. We wanted to give that full statement. Now, Waldman, who did not return calls today seeking comment, runs Endeavor Group. He signed a $40,000 a month retainer in 2009 and 2010 to petition the U.S. government on behalf of that Russian billionaire, Deripaska. There are reports that Deripaska, who sued Paul Manafort over a failed business deal, has information to share with the U.S. Congress. But last May, both the Senate and House Intel panels decided not to give Deripaska legal immunity. So far, he has not testified, Martha.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. So the Democrats are colluding with the Russians. And
the Republicans.
And the Republicans.
Richard Burr is Republican for North Carolina, and Mark Warner, Democrat, Virginia.
Mark Warner is a piece of work. It would feel so good to see him in prison.
I mean,
it feels so good.
We're looking at the unfolding of all of this.
Yeah, and so you can just see the look on Mark Warner's face that he is, he's got corrupt, complete 100% corruption written all. He looks like they plucked him from Central Casting for corrupt senator. Like, we need to find somebody that looks like a completely corrupt. Yeah. Now,
we knew that early on that the GOP also had paid Fusion GPS for other reasons, whether it was connected with the Russian collusion, whether it was to find Russian collusion on Donald Trump's thinking. After the election, after Trump wins, we still have a Republican still colluding with the Democrats, trying to obtain Christopher Steele's dossier, talking inside ball game, wanting to go to another country so there's no paper trail.
Ugh.
Well,
so
out of
bad.
context, Carrie. If it's out of context, it doesn't look good, Carrie. I know
What's
this.
what's the context of wanting this to?
We're trying to get to the bottom.
Eliminate the paper trail. Make sure that you frame the letter properly.
We're trying to get to the bottom of this, Carrie.
It's all about making sure that the false narratives, loose ends are all tied up.
Right.
That's what it really is.
Carrie, we're trying to save the country. He even said, do good for the country.
Their idea of country, see, I'm such an open-minded person, people. I am so open-minded. I'm like, okay, I am fully well aware that when you have two sides that are totally at odds with each other, that we always hear it framed as this is the good guys versus the bad guys.
Right.
But what you don't know, and what I'm learning in my, wisdom, my old age, and just learning things, is that the other side thinks that they're right. They only end up being called the bad guys and the losers because they lost, right? But
Right.
at the time, if you were to transport yourself to that side before they lost, whether it be the Nazis, whether it be the communists in Soviet Russia, whether it's Imperial Japan, they would be able to make the pitch to you why they're on the side of righteousness. So when I hear him say, we're going to save the country, when Warner says we're trying to save the country, I don't think that he's being dishonest in his head. I think he honestly believes he's on the side of righteousness. And so it's my job as somebody who recognizes this to try to figure out how he came to that conclusion. So, I mean, I really truly believe that he's just all in, hook, line, and sinker on there's something being wrong with somebody like a Donald Trump becoming president of the United States. I really think that they think that he has this certain personality and temperament. And look, he actually has a little bit of similarities with his jawline and the way he's always looking like this of Mussolini. And hey, the look is everything for Democrats. If you look the part, you must be the part. That's why, because you have white skin, you're a Nazi. Because that's the way they believe. Oh, look, Donald Trump, he kind of hangs his head a little bit like Mussolini. He must be a fascist. And that's why fascists truly believe that Donald Trump and people who support the Trump movement are actually fascists. So they really do believe that they're in the right, that they are saving America. And so really it's a battle of narratives, I mean, we can sit there and say you're evil, you guys are the real fascists, you guys are the real Nazis, but you have to really shine the mirror on them and really make them see it and say, look at your behavior. And Warner, I think he might believe that he's actually trying to save the country by undermining the democracy that put Donald Trump in power. And so we have to just keep on repeating over and over and over again, because every time we say it, you may hear us say it a second time, a third time, a fourth time, but know that every time we say stuff like this, that somebody's hearing it for the first time. Somebody's hearing it for the first time, and so that's why we have to keep saying it. We have to keep reiterating the points of why that you're not in the right. You're not on the side of righteousness. And by the way, Imperial Japan, all the people that were a part of that believed in it, the reason Japan did so well after World War II, and they turned it around so fast after World War II, was because we convinced them that they were wrong.
Right. We wrote their constitution. We set them all up. We installed capitalism. We said this is the way it's going to run.
Here's a cool story. The Japanese were not surrendering. They were not giving up. They were fighting to the death because they were told what we were going to do to them, that we were going to rape all their children and their women, that we were going to torture them, and we were going to take over the country, and Japan, as they knew it, was going to be erased from the earth forever. It'd be gone forever. And so
same thing they're doing in North Korea. Same thing.
Right.
Yeah,
they're doing that in North Korea. All of a sudden, some Japanese fighters had no more bullets left. They didn't have a knife to commit suicide with. They didn't have a cliff to jump off of. And even though they didn't want to surrender, they had no choice. They were just pretty much gang tackled and taken prisoner by Americans. And these guys were starving, and they were told that they were going to be tortured. And guess what? We gave them food, We gave them some shelter. We were really nice to them.
Nursed them back to health.
They were shocked. They couldn't believe it. They were like, wait a minute. We were lied to. We were lied to. We were taught this in boot camp, that this was what happened in boot camp, that when we started taking Japanese prisoners against their will as prisoners, they couldn't believe the treatment they were getting. They couldn't believe it. And it wasn't long before more and more and more Japanese started realizing, hey, why are we fighting anymore? And then when it was all said and done, we let them keep their emperor.
But you're talking about a rational individual having a paradigm shift and coming to the point. I don't think like people like Keith Olbermann. I don't think like people like Jake Tapeworm. They're not rational. Maxine Waters,
yeah, but
Nancy
guess
Pelosi.
What? Guess what, though?
Their voters, they're losing their voter base.
Their followers. The followers of Keith Olbermann, the followers of Mark Warner, the followers of all these crazy people that are in Antifa, people that are in Antifa right now.
Right.
They could see the light. I'll tell you, here's another story. Who did I hear this from? I know we both heard this story. A guy was like, one of my friends or relatives was going to go to a Trump rally, and this was late in the campaign. And he was like, oh, man, that Nazi fascist racist, and he's inviting me? The guy got invited because his friend was a Trump supporter. It might have been a relative. And he was like, gosh, I don't want to miss out on seeing this train wreck. So he's like, fine, I'll go. And he shows up and listened to an hour of Trump speaking. He couldn't believe.
His eyes were bleeding, right? Shooting blood out of his eyes.
No. Turns out he couldn't believe all the stuff that Trump was saying. Why? Because he never listened to him before, and the only thing he knew about Trump was what he was hearing from CNN, MSNBC, Keith Olbermann, all these crazy people, Antifa. And he was totally transformed. He's like, I actually agree with everything he's saying. And he became a Trump supporter. So it can happen. We just need to stay calm, not resort to name calling, and don't give up on these people. I'm telling you, a lot of Democrats voted for Trump on election.
Well, he had to have Democrats and independents. He had to have a lot of them to win as well as he did with the votes that he won. Beat the cheat, beat the DNC, beat the RNC, and beat the media. He had to have a wide range from both sides.
And he did it by doing 5 rallies a day.
Yes, you were talking about anyone in America, regardless of your skin color, your ideology, regardless of anything in America, dude, we respect hard work. When you see somebody going to town, doing 5 shows a day in 5 different states.
And they're not 15-minute speeches.
No, or if you see somebody just slaving away, digging a ditch to make something, putting something together, we as Americans can appreciate that hard work. And honest God, I believe that's what pulled him through.
I hope that future prospective presidential candidates on the Republican side, and I'm talking not career politician, I'm talking about somebody who's just a successful businessman who has a good grasp on philosophy and could apply that the way Trump is to his presidency, will learn something from this and say, you know what, I got to do 3 to 5 a day and get the message across, because if I'm not doing 3 to 5 a day, not enough people are going to hear my word. And here's why. Because you're always going to get people hearing from the fake stream media, CNN, MSNBC. That's who they're going to hear it from. So you have to work as hard as Trump did in order to overcome the fake news.
Right. And don't think CNN and MSNBC, don't think they're not stopping. They've got the throttle all the way down. They're coming up with new narratives. They're coming up with different narratives. They're now saying that that the actual Russian collusion with Donald Trump is through donations to the NRA that are coming into Trump. Trump's supported by NRA and NRA spending. So they're attempting. They're making the attempt. They couldn't take down the Titan, Donald Trump. They couldn't take him down. Mm-hmm. So they're attempting to take down another Titan in order to take down the Titan.
And what's their argument? That the NRA is bad because they have guns?
No. To get Russian money.
Oh, Russians are colluding with Trump via
the NRA.
The NRA. Oh,
however, and the whole article said, however, Putin doesn't doesn't agree with citizens owning guns, but that don't make no never mind.
Because he's gonna fund them. Who was it that said that Putin likes the Second Amendment because it allows Americans to kill each other? That was news this week. That was news this week. He likes the Second Amendment. He likes American Second Amendment, not in Russia. No Second Amendment in Russia.
Well, then that goes in line with the story I read. That's part and parcel of the whole story.
Right. Yep.
Come on, man. We got to keep this. We got to keep the throttle down.
I think that Putin is hoping that
we tear each other apart.
No.
Just split right down the middle, divide, and he walks in and it's all his.
No, I think that he's hoping that somebody in leadership in America will become allies with him, and they could then that way America and Russia could join together and fight off terrorism. I think that's what I think.
That'd be cool. I got no problem with that at all. Donald Trump did tweet out about this whole Mark Warner thing. Mark Warner colluding with Republican Richard Burr, the salacious dossier. Donald Trump tweeted out, "Wow, Senator Mark Warner got caught having extensive contact with a lobbyist for a Russian oligarch. Warner did not want a paper trail on a private meeting in London. He requested with Steele of fraudulent dossier frame, all tied to crooked Hillary."
Yeah, I'm telling you, these people
every angle is coming back at him. I mean, we've beat this thing down. We've beat this thing beyond
and the
belief.
The Russian collusion thing, if you really break it down to its simplest parts, it's about foreign influence on an American election. And if you break it down to its simplest parts, which is just that, should foreign entities be able to influence an American election, an American national election like a presidency? And it seems like overwhelmingly everybody kind of almost unanimously says, no, we'd rather not have foreign powers, non-American entities influencing it.
Right.
We can't do anything about it, but
you see how much money Hillary Clinton raised from the Chi-Coms
and Russia
and from Russia.
Yeah,
all the money she was able to raise, hundreds of millions of dollars more than she could in America, because we know who she is.
We wouldn't give her money.
No.
So she has to. So she.
That's why the DNC was bankrupt when Donna Brazil.
I don't know.
Donna Brazil.
I don't even care.
Brazil took over. Brazil took over. When she took over, she even said the place was bankrupt. So that's why Hillary had to go get money from overseas. And this kind of sums it all up. Dan Bongino tweeted out, take this to the bank. Understand, this sums it up. This is what happened. The Obama administration spied on the Trump team. Hillary campaign assisted in the effort. Russians assisted the Hillary effort. Obama administration spied, paid Russians for information to assist the operation. Liberals own the police state.
Yikes. That's why we love Dan Bongino. He knows how to say it just right.
Pithy.
Well, and also he uses, it almost sounds like hyperbole, but then when you start to do a little of your own research, you find out it's not. So he's not overstating it, but it is shocking to hear that kind of language.
Obama spied on Trump. Hillary helped put together the fake Russian dossier. Obama administration spied on Trump, paid Russians for information to assist the operation.
Yeah.
So that money was sent.
It's interesting. You know, we were on top of and pretty much nailed the assessment of the possibility of Trump collusion way back in early December of 2016, shortly after Washington Post tried to say that there was Russian collusion or Russian influence on the election.
Right. And
one thing, our conclusion is that they're trying to say that Russia colluded with Trump that they hacked into the DNC servers and used what they found to give to Julian Assange,
right,
for WikiLeaks.
to expose it to help Trump win.
Right. That was their argument. And our argument is no, Russia's going to hack into every server we have at all times, sometimes successfully, sometimes unsuccessfully, but they're not going to give away what they find.
Because it's worth more than just give it away freely.
Yeah, they don't want...
Why would you freely give it away?
Right. So our argument is that while Russia may have hacked into the DNC servers, whoever gave it to Julian Assange also hacked into these servers. Just because one person hacked into the server doesn't mean that that's the person that hacked into a server and they're the culprit and that's it. I mean, multiple people can hack into a server. It's not like, well, Brian murdered whoever, John Doe. Brian murdered John Doe. And I came in and I stabbed it too, but that doesn't mean that I killed it. It was already dead.
However,
that's not how it works.
In a court of law, if you thought he was alive,
then I'm murdering too.
Yes.
Oh, okay. We're getting off on a little bit of a side. That was a bad example.
That really went down one time.
Oh, gosh.
They got him for,
That's such a weird situation.
It's crazy.
Horrible example.
Right.
But the point is that you can, just because Brian hacks in the server over here, doesn't mean that when I hack into it, doesn't matter because Russia did it. Like if I take all the information that I get from a server that I hacked into and do all kinds of stuff with it, just because they found out that Brian also hacked into it doesn't mean that Brian did all the things that I did.
Right.
And that's what we're talking about with Russia. Russia hacked into the DNC servers. I'm not denying that. But I am denying that they gave Julian Assange all the information. I'm saying that it wasn't hacked at all. I think it was Seth Rich. God rest his soul. Yeah. So the point is that we were on top of this from day one. What I'm bringing all that for now, if you want to bust out your thing again, your paper. Was that list of things that Dan Bongino said.
Yes, Obama admin spied on Trump.
Yeah.
Hillary campaign assisted in the effort. Russians assisted the Hillary effort.
Uh-huh.
Obama spied, paid Russians for information to assist the operation.
Which was the dossier. And all that we didn't even know at the time.
No.
So we had this thing all wrapped up without these critical details. You add this stuff in there? Oh my gosh. What the list that Dan Bongino that Brian just read of Dan Bongino is just it's hook, line, and sinker. All the loose ends are tied up. They're totally guilty. And lots of people need to go to prison. And I even try to say that. I tweeted out this week, retweet this if you think Jeff Sessions needs to start arresting people now.
I did. I retweeted.
A lot of people retweeted. A lot of people answered. And there were a handful of people that said, no, we want everything to take time. We'd rather be done right than to let people off the hook because they jumped the gun. And I'm like, guys, come on now.
The longer this is not the more
How many
time
months
goes by,
do we need?
The more the time goes by, the more people forget.
They'll forget, and also the evidence could start getting corrupt,
right?
Because a lot of hands could be involved into the.
But there is
evidence.
new stuff coming out, like you mentioned, the CIA.
Yeah.
Do you know that they're holding up Trump's choice for Germany?
No.
Okay.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't know about this.
CIA dirty.
Uh-oh. What do we got?
Bill Still reporting again on the. Bill Still
He's always reporting on the coup.
He's reporting on the coup.
Good evening. I'm still reporting on the coup. You'll never guess why New York Senator Chuck Schumer is holding up President Trump's pick for ambassador to Germany. Not because this guy, Richard Grenell, Trump's pick for the new German ambassador, will be the highest-ranking openly gay ambassador in U.S. history, but because Grenell has made it clear that he will bring an end to the CIA team in Germany who recently paid $100,000 to a shadowy Russian promising to reveal dirt on President Trump. Once Grenell is confirmed, the CIA would have to report their activities in Germany to its new American ambassador. Yes, it's true, our CIA paid, colluded with, a shadowy Russian intelligence agent and paid him with a suitcase full of cash delivered to a 5-star Berlin hotel room in September, just 4 months ago. On top of that, the initial payment was supposed to be merely a down payment on a $1 million payout to the Russian. several American intelligence officials were contacted by the New York Times for their story. The excuse for the deal with the Russian was that he was offering to return cyber tools stolen from the NSA and CIA, plus compromising material on President Trump. What they got for the $100,000 down was a murky 15-second video of a man talking to two women in which even the New York Times admitted no audio could be heard on the video, and there was no way to verify if the man was Mr. Trump.
Oh, my God.
The American intelligence officials said that they had no interest in the bogus Trump material. They just wanted to inventory the cyber tools that were stolen. The New York Times quoted the former chief of Russia operations at CIA, Stephen L. Hall, who tried to excuse the fiasco. Nobody wants to be caught in a position of saying, we wrote that off, and then 5 years later saying, holy cow, it was actually a real guy. This is total bunk. A 9-year-old knows that a cyber tool once stolen can't be unstolen.
Right.
My suspicion is that there is a lot more behind this story of the CIA getting caught red-handed paying for Trump material that was so weak that even the New York Times couldn't spin it successfully into something nefarious. I'm still reporting from outside the one-time free speech capital of the world. Good day.
Yeah, he didn't even expand on that, but it's true. Think about it. If a cyber tool is just a list of code.
We stole your cyber tools.
You want them back?
You want them back?
I'll give them back. We'll give them back.
Because you don't have no more tools.
It's
You're
not
like building a shed.
Yeah.
You need your tools back.
It's even worse. You know, when they stole one of our B-29s, and we had to crash land a B-29, which was absolutely state of the art. Probably everything about it was secret way back in the 40s, and we had to crash land in Russia. And Stalin was like, oh, yeah, we'll get that back to you. We'll get that back to you. And we were like, no, we need it back, like right away. He didn't give it back until he had his engineers completely 100% reverse engineer it and had every single part refabricated and rebuilt from scratch. It cost them more money than if they had just tried to do it from scratch without even having had, like they actually
That's how cheaters do it.
They disassembled the whole thing. They did everything from scratch, and they put it all together. But anyway, the point is that you don't unsteal it once you do that. Well, imagine just a line, a set of lines of code. Literally, you could do it on paper. Once you have it, you don't unsteal it. So yeah, that's interesting.
So Donald Trump tweeted out, according to the New York Times, a Russian sold phony secrets on Trump to the U.S. Asking price was $10 million, brought down to $1 million to be paid over time. I hope people are now seeing and understanding what is going on here. It is all starting to come out. Drain the swamp.
Right.
All in big capital letters. This is amazing. Anybody who ever complains to you about Donald Trump tweeting is helping the coup. If you say that Donald Trump tweeting out is bad,
oh, I can't. There's no excuse. There's no excuse. Oh, Omarosa was like, oh.
I'm so
Big
triggered.
Brother this week.
I'm so triggered by his tweeting.
Big Brother this week. Omarosa, who's a former disgraced, embarrassingly fired White House aide, who pretty much didn't do much of anything other than.
And apparently, she's racist.
Well,
she was triggered by white men.
She clocked in every morning, and her big claim to fame in the White House was that she tried to plan a wedding that was supposed to happen at the White House.
What?
So you didn't know about that?
That's all she did?
There's witnesses that say that she would just show up and just kind of be there and listen into like she would go to meetings and listen, and she didn't really contribute. I don't know what the hell she did, but she got in trouble because she was trying to have her wedding at the White House, on the White House grounds, and somebody finally said, you can't do this, right? And she was like, excuse me? And
I work here,
whatever. Yeah, so she felt like she was entitled to have her wedding there. Next thing you know, she was fired, and it was really embarrassing and disgraceful. Whatever. Next thing you know, she's on Big Brother. And if you know anything about Big Brother, you're locked in a house, no electronic devices, no phones, no nothing, and you're competing with the other contestants to try to be the last person standing, and then you win. Well, it's Celebrity Big Brother, so there's like a bunch of celebrities. Everybody on there is a celebrity.
Well, didn't you say the winners are usually poker players, or was a poker player?
They put a poker player in there, and sure enough, she won. So there's a lot of similarities because you have to read people and try to figure out how to manipulate them, and there's a lot of that in poker. And so obviously, if you're a pro poker player, you have a leg up on that. So here's the thing. Omarosa worked for Trump, and everybody in there, celebrities, almost everybody in there is going to be a major flaming lib. And speaking of flaming, one of them is a flamer, too.
Oh, he's on fire?
He's a journalist, and he's completely
So he's a gay man and a gay journalist.
Totally. And so she ended up having to sit down with him, and she's going to be like, oh, my, he's like, oh, no, I'm Omarosa. So she proceeds to explain to him that it was a nightmare, it was horrible, I can't believe that I ever defended him, he's a horrible person, everybody in the White House is horrible, they're all evil, and he goes, should we be worried? And she goes, and she's all teared up.
No!
Yes,
no!
Yes, you should be worried. We're all in danger.
I can't watch this stuff.
We're all in danger.
No!
And he goes, don't say that. I'd really rather not know.
Because we have no electronic devices, and we can't get this information. Oh, we're on a TV show.
Oh no, he when he was they do the where they took you in the room with the camera by yourself.
Oh. And
only the audience gets to hear it. He was like, I'm in here doing investigative journalism for you guys. I'm getting it.
Oh, my God.
So, check this out. The mainstream media takes everything that Omarosa says and says, oh, my gosh, can you believe Big Brother is breaking political news? And I'm like, whoa. Y'all obviously are not Big Brother fans. I'm a Big Brother fan. I haven't watched every single season, but I've watched several of them religiously because it is a very interesting show. Here's what they don't know. And if you don't know, I'm glad you're listening because I'm going to explain it to you. Every word out of your mouth better be strategy or you're going home. You ain't trying to win this game.
Oh, so what she's doing is she's screwing herself. She's going to lose it because...
No.
Oh, unless that's her strategy.
She's getting in good with the libs.
Oh, because otherwise she'd be out. If she said she loved Trump...
Oh, she's gone.
Yeah, she'd be gone.
She's using... The things that she's saying to this guy is strategy to win the game.
Right.
And it's important for you guys to know this. Because it's not being reported that way. It's being reported as if it's coming out of somebody's mouth at Big Brother on the show that we got to take it seriously. It's got to be true.
Right. Oh,
what
yeah,
you don't realize,
it's a fact.
Big Brother's a lot more like a poker game where if somebody goes all in, that doesn't mean they have it. That means that they think you might fold.
Well, apparently the news media they can be bluffed.
Oh, they got
pretty
bluffed.
well.
They got bluffed. Well, she was actually crying. And she was crying because she was upset for two reasons. Number one, she had
a poker plan. That's a strategy.
She had to admit that she was fired. And it's embarrassing.
Oh, yeah.
And number two, she needed to make sure that they believed her. So the crying was perfect. It was perfect. Well done. Well done, Omarosa. Do I think that she's loyal to Trump? No. I think she's an opportunist. And I think the things that she said to this gay journalist in Big Brother. He's a contestant.
Gay man and a gay journalist.
Gay journalist.
Gay man.
Forget the fact that he's gay. I mean,
gay man.
He's a total flaming lib.
Yeah.
This is great strategy for her. They're going to treat her so good there because she's not just towing the line. She's towing the line as a former conservative in their mind. In their mind. So this is obviously something she's going to get a lot of traction on this in the House, and she's just trying to win. She wants to win Big Brother. It's important to her.
It's a shame. It's an absolute shame because they don't ever get, not normally get a conservative that comes out and says, I'm done with conservatism.
That's the best kind.
I'm going straight Democrat. I don't know who does that.
Well, and we do it.
It doesn't go that way.
Some people do it.
Not often.
It's mostly just shills.
It's rare.
It's mostly shills. But don't you feel good when somebody says, "Oh yeah, I voted for Barack Obama. I was totally all in on the Democrat Party, and guess what? I was red-pilled." Everybody, look at
my millennial got woke.
Oh, everybody glommed on to Joy Villa. Turns out she was probably a fraud.
She was a fraud.
Just using it as an opportunity. But at the time, weren't we all excited?
I gave it the benefit of the doubt. She was gorgeous. Yeah.
Well,
wearing Make America Great.
To say outfit. That you look at the
dude, that takes a lot of balls to own that and do that and go all in.
Yeah, but she didn't have much to lose because she wasn't.
She didn't have anything, right?
Well, she didn't have very much talent in singing. She has just enough to be able to put out a record. But
I heard it. I mean, it's
everybody I've talked to. I haven't heard it, but everybody I've talked to said, I listened to her music and it's just not my thing, and I just really didn't like it that much.
My sister, my little baby sister, she's not famous. And she would crush Joy Villa in a minute.
But she really is a good singer.
She's damn good. It's Mr. Calling. Oh,
she should have went for that because she really is pretty good at that. In fact, maybe we should have her do an intro for us.
That would be awesome because she's been red-pilled as well.
She's a teacher.
Don't tell nobody.
She's in a teacher's union.
Don't tell nobody.
I can't believe
it. It will be okay.
I don't believe that she's red-pilled. I think she's just playing.
Yeah, it might be playing. But after Supreme Court Justice rules that you don't have to pay union dues in a public union, come here pretty soon, then they'll all be free to go and no more unions. Anyhow, this week was a blockbuster week because the Grassley-Graham memo came out. Not came out, but it coincided with the Nunes memo and confirmed everything we ever suspected of the Russian collusion. There's nothing. And then speaking about poker playing, Donald Trump played. How Donald Trump was not a master poker player is beyond me.
Well,
the guy is that good.
Well, because he's got more lucrative things to be doing.
Okay, so the Democrats came back with their response to the Nunes memo, and we called it out. Everybody called it out. They said that the Democrats are going to put top secret information in there, so Trump would have to redact everything.
Right, that was the strategy. Yep.
And what happened?
Somehow it didn't work out for him. I'm starting, because of the way that the Democrats are handling this, it's starting to look really obvious to me that they really don't have anything.
It's amateur hour.
Well, they're not doing a good job of continuing with the lie. But I'm starting to think that they are starting to backpedal because I think they realize there's no way they're going to get out of jail free on this. One thing, just to summarize the Grassley-Graham memo.
By the way, Trump sent it back and said, "Fix this."
Right, and he said, "I want you guys to send me your memo in a form that we can release, but right now it can't be." And so he pretty much called him out for. He didn't really say, "I know you did this." To try to
he said,
game
fix
the
it.
System.
Fix this.
Fix it and bring it back. I'm really looking forward to bringing it back. I want to point out the difference between the Nunes memo and the Grassley memo, the Grassley-Graham memo.
Before you do that, Trump tweeted out about that memo, about the Democrats trying to send that. Trump tweeted out and said, the Democrats sent a very political and long response memo, which they knew because of sources and methods and more, would have been heavily redacted, whereupon they would blame the White House for lack of transparency, told them to redo
so he did call
and
him out.
Send back in proper form. How do you... It's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, he always wins the narrative. I think it's getting to the point now where we know the Democrats can't win the narrative against Trump. It just can't happen. But real quick, just to summarize and bring you up to speed, the difference between the Nunes memo and the Grassley memo. The Nunes memo makes the case that the FBI knowingly and fraudulently tried to get FISA warrants and did get FISA warrants through the FISA court system improperly, and that they knew it and they did it anyway, and they shouldn't have, and they are definitely in the wrong here. The Grassley-Graham memo says all the same things, but instead of blaming the FBI and the Department of Justice, the Grassley-Graham memo appears to me, based on me, I read the whole thing, it sounds like they're trying to say, oh, the FBI, how are they supposed to know? They believe Steele, and Steele's this evil person that should have never been such a lying fraud, because if he wasn't such a liar and such a fraud, that he wouldn't have duped the FBI and the Department of Justice into applying for FISA warrants. It let the FBI and Department of Justice off the hook, and I expressed my disapproval of that. I actually tweeted out that we should not be letting the FBI and the Department of Justice off the hook just because you think that the buck should stop with your witness? No.
No. Well, National Review and Andrew McCarthy, I know Rush likes to...
Oh, yeah, he likes Andrew McCarthy.
Andrew, my buddy Andy. This is what, just the first couple sentences, what Andy wrote. The headline, Grassley-Graham memo affirms Nunez memo.
Yep.
Media yawns. We need a full-blown investigation of how FISA court came to grant warrants to spy on Carter Page. In a word, the Grassley-Graham memo is shocking.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, that is exactly what... Without him saying what you just said, he's making the case... And he said we need an investigation of how the FISA court came to grant the... So he's attacking the FISA court. And it's kind of what you were saying, that, oh, no, it's not the FBI.
Yeah, so Andrew McCarthy is kind of... There has to be some sort of blame of some kind on the FISA court system.
Yeah, his whole article goes down and says, we've got to get the judges, we've got to find out which one gave multiple. There was one judge who did multiple.
Which is illegal. It should be a different judge every time.
You would think.
I think we read that. I think we read that it's supposed to be a different judge every time, and it's also supposed to be new probable cause. It can't be the same probable cause for every renewal, so every time you renew a warrant on somebody after 90 days. You have to renew it after every 90 days.
Right.
It has to be new probable cause.
So prior to 2016, prior to this Obama administration asking for the FISA warrant, prior to that, 10,700 requests to rejections.
Yeah,
Out of 10,700, 2 were rejected, and then after that, Obama's first 2 were rejected.
And that's really damning for the court because, like we said last week, when you're pretty much rubber stamping every single application, after a while it's just kind of like, oh, I'm speaking, let's say I'm Department of Justice. Oh, so all we have to do is just pretty much ask for it, and we're going to get it.
Right.
So that's obviously a problem. It's a complete, blatant disregard of Fourth Amendment. People who are out there, and I want you guys to listen carefully because I want you guys to all fight back on this with us. Everybody that's trying to poo-poo it as a nothing burger and all that, one of 2 things is happening. It has to be one or the other. Either A, you're just trying to cover up for wrongdoing.
Right.
Or B, and I think this is a lot more common, and this is really disturbing to me, I don't think you understand the Fourth Amendment, or you don't understand its importance, or how it applies to getting warrants. The court that would sign, or the judge that would sign off on a warrant, the FISA court system, the Act, all this stuff. If you know all this stuff and how the founders would be rolling in their graves and all this kind of stuff, that only when you understand all that stuff do you finally realize this is shocking. This is really disturbing. This is something that needs to stop, or else we don't have freedom in America anymore.
This is quite shocking as well. In Andrew McCarthy's in his article, at the very end, he says, though the Trump campaign had cut ties with Page shortly before the first warrant was issued in October. Do you understand that? The first warrant that was issued, Carter was not with the Trump campaign.
So they were spying on him because they just thought he was doing something with Russia by himself?
The warrant application was based on wild allegations of corruption conspiracy between the Trump campaign and Kremlin. First off,
okay, so this is
warrant.
This is a disconnect here.
Yeah, the warrant meant the FBI could not only seize Page's forward-going communication, but any past emails and texts that he may have stored in his communications with the Trump campaign.
And you're saying that because Page was no longer with the Trump campaign,
didn't make no never mind.
That's problematic.
That's a huge problem.
Some people are saying after the fact that they had been spying the whole time, and that they went ahead. That makes sense. So if I'm allowed, let's put it this way: if I'm allowed to look at your past texts,
right?
All right. Let's say I can look at your text from 2015.
Okay.
Let's say I was illegally spying on you as a FBI agent. Illegally. I have no warrant whatsoever. And I'm looking at all your 2000. I spied on you through all of 2015.
Okay.
All right. Then I realize, oh, crap, somebody might find out about this.
And that ain't legal.
I'll go ahead. I'll apply for a warrant now.
Okay.
And that warrant will cover all the spying I did on him in 2015.
Right.
That's what happened.
Well, they filed the first warrant.
Is so bad.
Hold on. They filed the first warrant while Page was with Trump.
Because they wanted to spy on Trump.
And it was denied.
Okay.
They kept spying. And they filed a second FISA warrant on Carter to make up for all their spying. They got to keep it going. And
they're not going to stop spying.
Right. And the second warrant was denied. Carter Page is no longer with the Trump campaign.
And they apply again.
They desperately need to apply.
Yeah, because
win it.
They're about to they realize that they're about to lose the presidency to Trump, who will then subsequently find out that he'd been spied on, which is exactly why one of the first tweets out of Donald Trump after inauguration was that his wires were tapped.
My wire's been tapped. Admiral Rogers. Wow. Admiral Rogers may go down as the unsung hero by approaching Trump unannounced in the Trump Tower, and we don't know what that conversation was, but we know the actions.
Which was, get the hell out of Dodge and don't ever come back. That place was wired to the hilt.
They literally bugged out.
You couldn't even put a nail in the wall to hang a picture without hitting one of the wires.
It was like they were dropping nets down all the way around the whole place.
Oh, yeah. Wow, it's like a giant spaghetti roll behind the walls. Yeah, that's problematic. I'm going to be honest with you, Brian. I never knew all that stuff. I never knew that the first warrant didn't happen until after he left the Trump campaign. Successful warrant. My first thought was they were just spying on just Carter, right, after he left, so they're not spying on the Trump administration. But you're saying, no, that's exactly what they did. So then that begged the question, why did they not get the warrant till after he left, and what purpose would that serve? And then you filled that gap by pointing out that they can look at all of his past stuff. Well, then that started to make me wonder, well, if a warrant from 2016 allows you to look at stuff from 2015, who's to say they weren't looking at it in 2015?
And how many times does this happen in the FBI or the CIA or whatever, that they know somebody's dirty?
Yeah.
And they start spying on them.
Or they really, really believe it.
Right. Or they start spying on them, and they find the dirt, and they're like, Yep, we were right. They're dirty. All right, go get the warrant.
Oh, God. That is the quintessential thing. That is the very thing that our founders were trying to protect us.
That's the Fourth Amendment.
Right. Yeah.
Right to search and seizure. They have no right to search and seize.
I think the most evil, ignorant, stupid statement that has ever been said, and by the way, I've said it too, I was dumb at one point, is, well, if you don't have anything to hide.
I did too. Right after Bush. I did.
Why are you so worried? Why are you so worried about what they're looking at? What do you have to hide? You shouldn't have anything to hide. If you have something to hide, maybe they should be looking at you. No, that's just not the American way.
Well, that's not the way that it works.
It's not constitutional.
We don't want to go through life knowing that the government is spying on everybody every day for whatever reason they want, because they can now take us as political prisoners.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was Sean Hannity or Mark Levin, one of the two, or maybe both of them, that if they want to find a law broken, hell, it might have been Rush Limbaugh. If they
go to the IRS and get you.
Oh yeah, there is no way that you make it through the day without breaking a law.
No.
You break a law every single day, and you don't even know it.
Right.
You don't even know it, and if they want to look hard enough, and they have access to look hard enough at you
with no probable cause,
they will find the thing, whatever they need to find to arrest you. It's as simple as that. And that's the police state we live in today. And it was attempted by our founders to prevent this kind of tyranny from happening to us through our Bill of Rights, and in particular, in this case, the Fourth Amendment.
Right.
So
the Democrats own the police state. 100%. Dan Bongino said it. Donald Trump did a two-tweet tweet.
Two-tweet tweet.
Apparently, Twitter hasn't given him enough caricatures or characters.
Okay.
And he ran out of space with the first tweet and then continued to a second. And on the second tweet, he's quoting Tom Fitton from Judicial Watch. So when I start to read it, Donald Trump is not talking about himself in the third party.
Third person?
Third person. It's third person. So Donald Trump tweeted out, this is a quote from Tom Fitton of Judicial Watch on Fox News. And he says, my view is that not only has Trump been vindicated in the last several weeks about the mishandling of the dossier and the lies about the Clinton DNC dossier, it shows that he's been victimized. He's been victimized by the Obama administration, who were using all sorts of agencies, not just the FBI and the Department of Justice. Now the State Department dug up dirt on him in days leading up to the election. Comey had conversations with Donald Trump, which I don't believe were accurate. He leaked information, corrupt.
Right.
Tom Fitton, Judicial Watch.
It's pretty blatantly
Tom
obvious.
Fitton, the man. Tom Fitton, the man.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious to everybody who's been paying close attention to this that James Comey is so bad that he has to be covering up something that will send him to prison for a long time. Long time.
Oh.
And so that's why he pretty much let Hillary Clinton off the hook. His excuses for doing so did not make any sense.
Ooh.
And he just kind of method acted.
And we found out Peter Strzok was in the FBI trying to coordinate to make it gloss over the text messages and just say, there's no there. It's all good. No big deal.
Yeah, that was their MO.
They were emailing. John Podesta has an email that came out this week that WikiLeaks released that talked about how, I know that it's really bad what Hillary did. They're admitting, John Podesta admitting how awful and wrong and how I tried to get Hillary not to do it anymore. But it was so wrong and so awful what she did that I tried to convince her. It's all right. Don't worry about it.
All right.
It's an iPhone.
Well, I got a message. Brian's just telling me that.
It don't make no never mind.
Okay. All right.
And so, but don't worry. It'll be okay. It'll all work out. I mean, that's literally... in order for them to say they know that it'll work out and it won't be a problem, it's because they're pulling strings on the back end, and now we find out they have been pulling strings the entire time.
Everything we've been saying has been proven true. And I don't know, what are the Democrats going to do from here?
Well, Senator D. Whedon, I don't know his first name. Oh, D is in Democrat, sorry. Senator Democrat Whedon, seeking administration records on Trump's sale of Palm Beach property to Russian oligarchy and billionaire. Did you hear about that?
Is this a problem? Is he not allowed to sell property to a Russian?
Well, the sale went down in 2004.
Okay.
Trump bought the property in 2004, 6.3 acre mansion apparently, in West Palm Beach. I mean, you got to have money to live there anyhow. I think that's where Rush Limbaugh lives.
Okay.
Yeah. So he bought the property for $41 million, turned around and sold it 4 years later when Barack Obama was elected in 2008.
Well, right. Bush was still in office.
Right. It for $95 million. So he doubled. 4 years, doubled it.
It's impressive.
Don't know what the renovations were. Don't know what the sale was. I have no information.
Maybe he put $50 million into it.
I have no idea. I have no idea. But Rybolev, that's the Russian guy's last name, broke it into 3 different parcels. He got the land split up into 3 different parcels, and he has sold 2 of them for $71 million. Yet CNN's reporting this as that the guy's going to make a loss, and it's but he's still got one more parcel left.
Another parcel. Which
if he sold for less than the other 2, he would have more.
If he sold the last one for an average of $10 million, less than $25 million. But the first 2 parcels went for a combined $71 million.
35 and 36.
Yeah, $35 million. So if the last one goes for only $25 million, he broke even.
Or if it goes for $35 million, then he's got a good profit of a few million in a few years.
Right. So what are they trying to say?
They're trying to say that it was, and they said it was. We looked into it. It was undervalued.
Oh, they're saying that they overpaid for the property in order for obviously to give Trump money, which means what? Trump did a favor for them.
Of sorts. In 2008,
they bought it from Trump at a loss. Ended up being a loss, is what you're saying. But it's not. In fact, it looks like they're going to profit.
They very well could. They could hold that third parcel and do whatever they want with it, or they could sell it and make money.
Probably several million. Yeah,
right.
Maybe as many as 10 million.
So this was during the campaign. I forgot all about this. Donald Trump's statement in 2016 during the campaign. He said, the closest I ever came to Russia, I bought a house a number of years ago in Palm Beach, Florida. Trump said at a press conference in July 2016, Palm Beach, very expensive place. There was a man who went bankrupt, and I bought the house for $40 million. I sold it to a Russian for $100 million.
Is that the one he's referring to?
Yeah.
Okay.
But including, he said he sold it for $100 million, including brokerage commissions. So I sold it. I bought it for $40. I sold it for $100 to a Russian.
And they're trying to say,
what do you want?
Yeah.
That's just what he did. Anyway,
I mean, it sounds like business to me.
So the Democrat Senator, Wyden, is asking for, and so CNN talked about this, and I think Jake Tapeworm did something about it. It said, well, Democrat Wyden, he doesn't have any pull with the Republicans as a senator, so it's unlikely.
I never even heard of him.
It's unlikely he'll be able to get any information on because the Republicans are covering for Donald Trump. They're covering.
So it's really about it's about the narrative.
Yeah, it's the accusation outweighs, or the.
It's not the seriousness of the allegation. It's the nature, or it's not the nature of the evidence. It's the seriousness of the allegation. Yeah, I haven't had to say that one in a while.
And this allegation is so serious.
His name's Ron Wyden.
Wyden? Oh, I got a misspelling here on mine.
Wyden, W-Y-D-E-N.
You know what? I bet my.
He's from Oregon.
My computer did it. Okay. So apparently CNN is siding with him and saying that there's no way he's going to be able to get this done because the Republicans rule the Senate and the House. And they also did a report right after this and said, if the Democrats can win the House, impeachment proceedings will happen. Did you know that?
I mean, I guess they technically can vote for impeachment, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to fly. It's not going to fly with the American public because they are going to say, they're going to demand that per the U.S. Constitution that a high crime or a misdemeanor was committed.
They're going to have to get, who's the guy that won over Roy Moore? Jones. They're going to have to get Jones to vote for impeachment when Jones voted for Trump's tax breaks. So, you would have to get every single Democrat on board. and you would have to have the majority of the House. It would just be an incredible feat.
You can't do impeachment without the House. They have to have the House. I don't see...
You would have to have every single Democrat on board. I don't see that happening. It just wouldn't.
I think this belief, because of what happened in Alabama, that there's going to be some sort of a wave election for
the blue
Democrats.
Wave. The blue wave.
It doesn't make any sense. I mean...
and this Russian collusion is helping the blue wave.
But it's actually the news. All the news coming out is bad for the Russian collusion narrative.
Speaking of bad news, the good news that was, I think Trump might have tweeted this out, but there was good news reported at this very time, in the same time frame of Obama's first year, entering into his second year. The approval polls show Trump is up 4 on Obama.
Wow.
Yes!
That's pretty impressive.
Yes, nobody's talking about that.
Yeah, I mean, he had a big approval rating. I mean, he's first black president, and there was nothing really bad going on initially, so yeah.
My millennial, this young guy I work with, he's a great kid. He's 29, married, has a house, 2 cars, some cats. You know how that is. You got a family going on. And they just did their tax returns.
I've been hearing a lot about people really being shocked at their tax returns. 2
incomes, no children, husband, wife, they're married, own a house, 2 cars, work 2 jobs, full-time, both of them work full-time. He said it was so bad that he had to get a second opinion because he didn't want to go to jail.
He was worried that that he was taking too much money.
Yes,
he was going to get audited.
No. He was getting. He said it was 3 times. He told me what the numbers were, but it works out to be 3 times more back this year, 3 times than last year, and it's the most he's ever had. It's the biggest tax return they've ever had.
Sweet. And there's no other reason other than that Trump was elected and they did tax reform.
I don't know. I mean,
I'm really surprised that the Democrats went along with this.
They had a couple Democrats go. They had Jones out there in Arizona go along with this guy who beat Roy Moore.
Oh my gosh!
So maybe Jones ain't all that bad.
Oh my gosh! Did you just say that for real?
No, he is bad. So, but if he voted for tax cuts, so that's good times. So on the. Whatever we we still got about 12, 13 minutes. On the fake news side, the CNN fake news,
right?
Everything, like the first whole hour, we talked about everything that was going good with the country.
Right.
Phenomenal, booming economy, jobs, tax breaks, tax cuts, companies buying stuff, hiring more. The number one concern with companies today. Qualified employees. We just need to find more qualified. That's their number one problem.
Okay.
Their problem isn't government. The problem isn't regulations. Their problem isn't money. Their problem is getting enough workers that are qualified. And so I checked in on Jake Tapeworm, especially this morning. I was checking in on him. I was going back and forth on Fox News and Fox Business and back and forth. They're talking about the economy. They're talking about the bump in the stock market. One guy was on there, official who has got information on the stock market. He was saying that they like that volatility that's been happening because a lot of people have been taking advantage of it and still gaining more money and getting rich. And again, like you said, Kerry, over the entire year, if you never sold your stocks, you're up still.
Right.
Just like in Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, if you didn't sell.
If you bought last year, you're up.
You're way up.
Yeah.
So, good news going back and forth, this and that and everything else. And so I'm checking in with Jake Tapeworm all morning long. This entire show. Russia, a prison for Trump. He was talking with a guy that wrote a book about that interviewed Steve Bannon, and Bannon is now on board with the Democrats, and Bannon this. I mean, whether it's true or not, I don't know, but it's so outrageous and unbelievable. But Jake Tapeworm just kept saying that's cool, and that would be an awful big guillotine because Trump's head is awful big, and I said, what? He mentioned the guillotine twice when talking about Donald Trump. I tweeted that out and said FBI should look into my little Jake Tapeworm, because apparently it ain't right. Could you imagine saying that about Barack Hussein Obama?
Oh, no. I mean, why use the guillotine? I mean, what if,
I have no idea.
You're not supposed to talk about rope when you're talking about black Americans.
No!
Because of the history and all that kind of
Well,
stuff.
you should be allowed to talk about guillotines when talking about white.
Well, I'm just saying what if some conservative commentator said that we need to talk about nooses or rope or something like that, and in the context of an execution when talking about when talking about Barack Obama.
Oh my goodness!
The double standard's ridiculous. He needs to be.
So I went on CNN. I was looking for his comments. I could not find them. I was looking for them on YouTube. I couldn't find. It may come out. It might be too soon. His show was this morning. However, when I searched Jake Tapeworm's name on CNN, here's the articles that he's been doing. He does this thing called Conflict of Interest Watch. So every day he's got a segment.
That sounds pretty weak.
Conflict of Interest Watch.
It's not wrong. It's not illegal. It's not unethical. It's just a conflict. Guys, conflict of interest is like the lowest threshold for something worth reporting on.
I mean, certainly I would think
it's
so.
obviously something you want to avoid, but you're not going to go to prison for it. You're not going to be sued for it, or at least not most times you won't be sued for it. It's just something that should be, I guess, reported on. I guess he's trying to do that, but whatever.
Right. So this is his first segment of Conflict of Interest Watch. I just couldn't believe it, but here it is.
Today, the Democratic Attorneys General of Maryland and the District of Columbia announced that they are suing President Trump, arguing that the president has, quote, flagrantly violated the U.S. Constitution. It is our Conflict of Interest Watch today. The lawsuit takes issue with the president's ongoing ownership of his hotel in Washington, D.C., as well as his worldwide network of hotels, golf courses, and commercial properties. Let's get right to
He violated the Constitution.
Christina, we've been talking for months about this clause of the Constitution that might not permit foreign governments spending money at Trump hotels.
He just said
ridiculous.
Might. He even said might not. Might.
What, because somebody that's in Russia will show up to a Trump International in Russia and pay money for the hotel room?
Or the one in D.C., which is...
What?
Yes.
Listen.
Dude.
Well, Jake, I feel like we talk about this once a week, the emoluments clause, which is supposed to guard against corruption. As you know, it bars the president from accepting gifts and benefits from any government, both foreign and domestic.
Okay.
That's not a gift.
Accepting gifts from governments, foreign and domestic.
That makes no sense.
Did she mean our government gives gifts to the president?
Does this woman even have an education? She looks like she's in 7th grade.
Well, she's familiar with the situation.
She's familiar with the issue. Guys,
you're done, aren't you? You're done.
When I sell something to Brian,
it's a gift
at a yard sale. The money he gave me is not a gift. You're allowed.
No, hold on. You gave me a deal, that's the gift.
This is how bad communism has become in America. Communism has gotten so bad in America that you cannot be involved in the government and conduct capitalism of any sort. That's literally what they're saying. You cannot be involved in capitalism if you're also involved in government. That's the argument they're trying to make here. And they're lying. They're saying things that are not true at all in order to try to make their case.
This is supposed to ensure there's no self-dealing and there's no question about where the president's loyalties actually lie.
How? How is it that you serve your customer and all of a sudden you're not loyal to America anymore?
Okay, hold on. Where his loyalties lie? Did we not spend the first hour telling you where his loyalties lie? Where do they lie? Job, 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 make America great again?
Yeah.
What he campaigned on?
It seems like an American business he's trying to make better, his own.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Now, the D.C. Attorney General today in a press conference put it very bluntly. Listen.
And what are we to do? Sit back and allow the president to police himself? This is America. We have a constitution. Our founding fathers were concerned about corruption. They were concerned about a president of the United States
Why are they accusing him
not
of corruption?
focusing on the people's business, but being worried about personal business.
I thought he handed over control of those businesses to his kids.
Most of them, but he still has...
He actually said that at the RNC convention.
He did.
He said that at the RNC convention. Did that not happen? If that
I'm
didn't
assuming,
happen...
because I'm watching this and I'm assuming he kept control of some of the stuff.
That's what they should have said. Instead of... I'm sick and tired of the unsubstantiated allegations. Stop accusing people of things without any evidence. Our founding fathers were concerned about corruption. What are you saying? Are you saying that there's evidence of corruption? Because if not, why are you suggesting that because there's a possibility, maybe, I don't even think they made the case for a possibility for corruption, honestly. But let's just say they could make a case, which they didn't do. If you don't have evidence of corruption, why are we throwing around these accusations? And if you're worried about whether or not he's being distracted by businesses that I heard him say he was handing over to his kids, why don't you bring up that he hasn't handed them over to his kids and that he promised that he would? That right there is a legitimate complaint.
Right.
If it's true that Donald Trump, after saying at the RNC convention that he was going to give them over to his kids, that he did not do that, then say that. Say, hey, guys, he promised us all that he was going to hand over his businesses or the operation of his businesses to his kids while he conducts himself as president of the United States. We all heard him say that. If he's not doing that, that's what you need to bring up. Stop with these really weird false accusations, or I shouldn't say false accusation, but unsubstantiated. Stop it. If you don't have evidence of somebody breaking a law or doing something that is breaking some sort of rules, you shut up. I'm sick of it. You should get punched in the face. Didn't we say that last week?
Right.
Somebody should be allowed to punch you in the face if you accuse somebody of a crime, and when they say, you got evidence of that, and you don't, you should be allowed to punch them in the face.
Well, I'm on Wikipedia, and, that's always liberal, but they're pretty much suggesting because Trump conducts business at the Trump Tower, and he stays there, and other family members, live there and stay there and stuff, that maybe the Trump Tower kind of is sort of owned by Trump, but here's the thing. Russians are, I don't know about Russia, but people are paying to stay there.
He didn't say he was going to hand over ownership. You don't
Control.
forfeit your right to
right.
engage in capitalist behavior because you're president.
Right.
And for them to suggest that is the height of Marxism.
Oh, absolutely.
You need to give up all your worldly possessions and all of your influence and everything.
He transferred control so he could focus on America. Well, what they're saying is that because he still, owns it.
Business there.
He owns it.
And
they're
wrong.
He's getting money from the Russians when they stay there.
He should have the right to own property as president. Who owned the most property of all presidents? It was George Washington.
Here's the thing that they get into this article, and we're going to sum this up because we're running out of time.
Yeah, we're running out of time.
But here's the thing. They say that Donald Trump promised to show and expose the money that's coming from foreign individuals and something or other. I couldn't find it. I couldn't substantiate it. But they're saying that if there's clearly money coming from a foreign government, then we won't accept it. So if somebody from Russia wants to stay at Trump Tower...
Is he supposed to let him stay there for free, and is that a gift? Or does he have to charge him, and is that a gift?
What country?
They're literally... I think they're reporting as if they're stupid, hoping that stupid people hear it and think it's true.
Obviously.
Because they sound like idiots.
So they also said that this is all on CNN. Turkey-linked event at Trump hotel raises ethic concerns. Trump organization won't track foreign profits. I don't know what a whole story. Malaysian Prime Minister under Justice Department probe meets with Trump.
So the Turkey-linked event at Trump Hotel raises ethic concerns. If Turkey is the customer and they paid for an event at a fair price at a property that Trump owns, what the hell are they worried about? They need to knock it off. This is anti-capitalist behavior.
Exiting ethics boss hits Trump for property visits. Kushner meets Russian as Mueller widens Russian collusion. Yes, the Russian collusion for Mueller is widening, and Judicial Watch is fighting to find out the budget of what in the somehow Mueller is spending, because he says it's beyond imagine.
Mueller is spending money for Democrat oppo research for the next coming up election. It's all on the government dime. It's all on the taxpayer dime. You are paying for Democrat oppo research against Trump for the next election.
Wow, folks, the fastest 3 hours you'll spend anywhere in your entire life. Just an incredible time. Love hanging out and spending time with you. Follow us on Smith Radio everywhere, on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook, anywhere you can find us. Share us with your friends and your family.
Peace out, guys.
Peace out.
Don't forget Periscope. Patreon.com/SmithRadio. Support what we do.
With unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable. It's without fathom.